What's up, guys? Welcome to Bulls 101. This is Chris Amundsen here with my guy, Larro Golden. As always, I have to apologize for being late tonight. I was out. I was out with my wife. Someone was watching the kids, so we were finally on a date. And totally lost track of time. I looked down at my phone. I'm like, oh, shoot. It's like, I got to be home like now.
Dude,
I'm up late for my show.
it's
Apologies
all
to you, Larro.
good, man. No, dude, it's all good. You know, man, the last couple times we've had to reschedule or been late has been because of me. So it's who am I to be like, Chris, what the hell? No, we're all good, man. We're all good.
Man, it's funny. Just a funny time that we do the show in the first place, and that that we still have conflicts anyway. Oh man, but hey, it's been a crazy week in Bulls land. We're finally getting some good news. Zach LaVine has been cleared of the bad knee allegations, and he got a little treatment on it, and he should be good for the rest of the season. He said he's not like the knee isn't 100%, but he can play through it with no issue. Like there's no issue with the knee. It's just, or that's that's going to affect his play or his health. But the only way he's going to get it right is by doing stuff in the offseason, resting it for a certain amount of time. So, but it's good to hear that's not like some sort of tear because Lonzo was having some knee soreness on and off, and then all of a sudden, next thing we know, he's 6 to 8 weeks. What's up, Salim? Good evening, my friend. Skokes. Yeah, he could have won the dunk contest tonight. I haven't even watched, to be honest. I haven't watched a single second.
I got it recorded
of the weekend.
I'm gonna check it out.
But we also got news that Alex Caruso is going to be he's able to do some shooting drills in the next 7 to 10 days. That was like a few days ago, so it's within the next week, which is really awesome to see. Hopefully Lonzo's not too far behind. We got news that Patrick Williams is looking at post All-Star break, coming back to the team. About to say back to the chat, coming back to the team. So the Calvary's coming, man, and the Bulls are currently tied for first in the East, despite every crazy thing imaginable that's happened to them over the last month. And they almost were solely in first place. I was watching the Heat Hornets game that went to overtime. The Hornets blew a 14-point lead in the last few minutes. And then they had a chance to ice it in overtime with a free throw. Couldn't do it. The Heat eventually won in double overtime. So it's pretty crazy stuff. How do you feel about this? Oh, and then the final piece of news that we'll talk about tonight is the Bulls waived Alfonzo Mckinnie and signed Tristan Thompson off the buyout market. So we'll definitely go through some film. But first of all, man, after my monologue here, how are you doing? How are you feeling about the Bulls and where they're at the fake halfway mark?
So to be honest with you, I don't think I could ask more from this team, from what they have done because of all the injuries. And to be honest with you, man, I like I just said, I can't ask for more. I'm actually kind of proud as a Bulls fan, that they have kind of fought through these injuries and not used it as a crutch to kind of give in and allow games to be lost. Like, shout out DeMar DeRozan for really, really, like, he was already having a great season, but for him to really take it up a notch, I mean, what can you say? I mean,
DeMar to Chamberlain.
Dude, DeMar has really just, I don't understand. Like, I understand dudes can just get to their spots and knock down shots, but like, I just feel like every time he gets to a spot, the shot goes down. Like, it's just like, like guys like Paul Pierce back in the day, even Kawhi Leonard, guys like that get to that little mid-range, that mid-post area and just knock it down. Like, I feel like DeMar literally every time if he gets to a spot, it's probably going to go down. Like, it's crazy.
Yeah.
And I can't go without giving some big ups to two of my guys, Nico, big time, Vucevic. I see you, big dog. For the three isn't falling like we all want it to be, but he is continuing to contribute and be consistent inside the painted area and rebounding the ball really well. Without him, we probably are the worst rebounding team in the NBA. And Kobe, man, Kobe, and I guess Io too. I forgot about him, but Io and Kobe, like those four guys, man, like
They're holding it
What
down, man.
what can we say about this team? Like, you could be mad about certain wins that we have because they've been ugly. But like for the
Oh,
most
man.
part, them winning the games and pulling it out, like, shout out the Bulls, man. Billy, good job, man. Billy holding the troops together, keeping the locker room straight with all these injuries. I mean, shout out this team, man, just for continuing to fight, man.
So Vooch is up to 54.1% on the season on twos, which is his highest since 2018-19, when he hit 54.9% on twos, which was the highest of his career. So he has been on an absolute tear the last month. And we knew this was coming. This is what we said was coming. I got a little worried after, like, he was having a down season for like 2 months, 3 months.
Yeah.
But he was doing everything else, right? He looked good everywhere else. It's just the shot wasn't falling for some reason. And Vooch has really come through, man. Sorry, I just interrupted.
No.
He's smoking hot inside the arc now.
And I found myself, me being me, I found myself watching the last playoff appearance that he was in, where he absolutely played so damn well.
It was when they faced the Bucks, right?
Yeah, they lost 4-1, but his stats for
that first game.
Yeah. For his stats for that playoffs, 28 points on like 60% true shooting, rebounding the hell out of the ball, passing the ball. Like, to me, like what I've seen from this season, like till now, beginning of the season till now, like I remember one shot. I can't remember what game was it, against Orlando, or was it where he had a chance to knock down the shot, but somebody got out there. It was like a drawn up play for Vooch to get the shot at the end. I can't remember who the opponent was, but like, other than that, when he missed that shot, I feel like every time we need a big time three or a shot, like, and when he has that opportunity late in the game, I feel like he knocks those down. And to me, that says a lot about the guy. Like, yes, throughout the game, he may go 1 for 4 from 3 or 1 for 5 from 3. But to me, just watching him, if the ball swung to him in the corner or swung to him at the top of the key, and we need a big time 3, I feel like it's going to go down, just because I think that when the moment when you need it, I feel like that's when he makes those shots. And to have him as the third option when Zach comes back, I'm in the awe of this team, honestly, because Kris, man, like we talked about it before the season, before we got DeMar DeRozan. I'm sorry. When we were talking about getting DeMar DeRozan before we got Caruso and before we got Lonzo, we were like, of course, DeMar DeRozan would be a great addition, but the defense, my gosh, that would be bad. And then once we got Lonzo and once we got Caruso, we're like, okay, let's get DeMar then. Let's
sign him up. Yep.
And now we're seeing
we got the wingman.
I think we're seeing what it would have been like if we didn't get those additions.
Yes.
And for him to pick up his offensive efficiency, come on, man. What can you say about the guy?
To be honest, yeah, when you're talking about DeMar, every shot that goes up in the fourth quarter, I think is going in. And it usually does. The thing that blows my mind is that every single person on the court, on the coaching staff, in the crowd, watching on TV knows exactly what DeMar DeRozan is going to do every single play that he's got the ball. He's going to that mid-range pull-up. He's going to pump fake it if the guy's too close. And for some reason, they just cannot stop him. He's unstoppable. They know exactly what he's doing. I mean, he's got, and Billy said it, he's got incredible footwork in the mid-range. Like, he's just able to create space on a moment's notice. He's been phenomenal. And you're right. The last month or so of Bulls is exactly what the critics thought the Bulls would be. Right? Like a good offensive team. I think they're like top 5 offense and around 20th or so in defense. It's going to be a shootout. And it has been a shootout every night. But I would say DeMar DeRozan has exceeded all of my expectations as an offensive player. He's just been absolutely godly. And Vooch has really come around. And if Vooch starts playing like Vooch has been playing last month, and Zach LaVine gets back to, kind of his earlier season form, and we get full strength, and we get Pat back, I mean,
look out.
look out, man. Like the Bulls are going to be a really, really tough opponent. They're going to be smoking hot. So I'm really excited for it. And so what I wanted to do tonight actually is talk about each of the kind of the main rotation or each of the players on the Bulls roster
Yeah.
and kind of give them some midseason grades if they've met your expectations, exceeded, below expectations, what have you, and why. And so, we can kind of just go down the roster and talk about each of these players. So let's start with the main guy on the team. We'll start with Zach LaVine. Um, I think he's met my expectations this year for the most part. He started off a little shaky with shooting from three because of that thumb injury that he had for like the first month, and then he just started going on fire. And then he's kind of tapered off the last month, obviously in and out of the lineup with these injuries with the knee swelling and things. But I think offensively, a lot of people had doubts last year that they thought that last year was an anomaly, that he wasn't going to be able to do that, especially when they brought more people in, or he could only do that on a losing team. But we saw like he had everyone on him, and he was still putting up like 63% true shooting efficiency. Like he was just crazy true shooting percentage. And now he's got DeMar, now he's got Vooch, now he's got Lonzo, Caruso, Javonte, Kobe, Ayo, like all these guys around him that can get a bucket, that can make the right pass, that can do the right dribble. And he's still putting up the same numbers. I mean, he think he's putting up like 2 less points, but about the same efficiency. I know it's been a little bit, his efficiency has gone down because he's been in and out recently.
Yeah.
But he's basically been 50, 40, 90 again, or 50, 40, 85 again. So like I would say Zach has met my expectations. I think defensively I think he's been a little less focused than I'd like him to be sometimes.
Yeah.
He's had some bad moments, but I still think he's still overall much improved from where he was a couple of years ago. I think he's kind of maintained that. He hasn't taken it to another level.
You're right.
He's kind of had some ups and downs, but I think he's still he's not killing you out there on defense in the way that he was a few years ago. Anyways, that's my take on Zach. Do you agree with that? Do you think he's exceeded or met your expectations, or what are you thinking on him?
I totally agree. I just, for Zach, man, I mean, something to think about too with him continuing this type of efficiency is coming into the season, he had a thumb injury. And for him to, still put up those numbers with the thumb, and then knee injury, back spasms, and for him to still be putting up these numbers, I think that says, everything you just know about Zach. I mean, the dude is a baller. He's a gamer. The dude, I always bring this up, but like we're talking about a guy that plays 6 minutes on a torn ACL. Like there's nothing. If he can play through it, he's going to play through it.
He's gonna do it.
It's just who he is, and for the most part, if he's out there, he's gonna contribute. He's gonna give you what you need out of him. Like you said, man, I think you hit on all points, man. And also, I think honestly, him as a passer. I feel like his assist numbers,
better.
yes, and I feel like that's something to talk about with Zach as well. And I feel like his passing has been there. So everything
we talked about that. We talked about that at the beginning of the year. Yeah. Right at the beginning of the year, every pass he made was to Vooch.
Right. Yeah.
Every pass, and it was always that little like side pick and roll or like at the middle of the key. But he started making the cross court pass. He started making strong side weeks. Like he's behind. He's been passing. Salim here had a comment. I think this was really, really key by Salim. He says Zach's done a good job of taking a backseat to DeMar and allowing DeMar to shine. You have to give him props for his unselfishness. 100%. Yeah. Zach is going to get Zach is in a contract year and he's going to get paid this year. And for him to allow DeMar to kind of take the spotlight from him in a lot of different ways and be totally cool with it and be like the ultimate teammate, it just reinforces what we've been saying for years, which is that Zach is not a selfish player. Nope. He's not a ball hog. He's not an empty stats guy. He wants to win more than anything. And he's shown it this year. And I think that's what's been the most impressive part of Zach LaVine to me.
To go along with what Salim has brought up, which, like you said, is a great point. We had Darnell Mooney. We had Darnell Mayberry on, and I remember we were talking about it vividly with him and how we had clips of Zach and what he was talking about, all defense. That's his aspirations, and he's willing to do whatever it takes to win. But I remember him saying, like, you can say that now, but that contract is coming up. So we'll have to just see, if he really means it. And I mean, Zach has the dude is, you can't really say he was lying, man. The dude is really trying to win ball games, man, whatever it takes. And I respect that man for it. I respect him so much, man, because, for him to continue to want to play on the knee, continue to, because for him, he could have sat out some of these games and said, "Nah, coach, like I got to get right," But he just wants to win for this city, man. And um, shout out Zach, man.
He's been great. It's just been great. All right, let's move on to DeMar DeRozan. What have you thought of DeMar DeRozan this year? Just overall.
You gave me the easy one, huh? To start off with the easy one, dude. Like, I don't know if there are words. And this means nothing coming from me because Lord knows I don't have a big time vocabulary, but but like they're I can't think of the right word to really describe what DeMar has meant to this team. And to me, I don't think he's getting like, I understand that, Chicago Bulls and the Bulls Talk Twitter, they've been doing a good job of really the propaganda and and getting them out there. But honestly, I think there needs to be more love for what DeMar has really done. Like, if you take a look at the roster and you take a look at the injuries this team has had, DeMar has been so consistent. At his age, this guy has missed one game this year? Was it one game so far?
Maybe. I think he rested one game on a back-to-back or something.
And for him to, at his age, to continue to take on the offensive load, to be unselfish, to leverage his scoring ability when he gets the extra help, to making the right pass, and giving some effort on the defensive end. Like, yes, he's still DeMar, but for the most part, like, you look, he's rotating when he needs to rotate. He gets his hands in on some drives when he digs. So it's like, for what he is doing for this team, I mean, my goodness, man, like, DeMar has been, like you said, everything and more of what you could expect from him. And I think he needs more recognition from national media. I know that you can't take too much, from the Basketball Reference, MVP rankings. And for him to be 9, I think that's too low. I think he needs to be up higher, especially if you take in all of the things that has happened to this team. And that's where I sit with DeMar. A+++++.
He's been exceptional. He's been absolutely exceptional. So, as you know, I wrote an article in October, basically defending the DeMar DeRozan signing when everyone else was killing it. I went and reread it this week because I wanted to see how bad, how much of, like, how low I was
Right.
and I was probably the most positive article written about it, about the DeMar signing. So I wanted to read something from it. So I talked in the article about the timing of the deal, the available alternatives to the Bulls, and then the range of outcomes, like what, it could be good, bad, ugly. And I talked about the timing, and I said, we can examine the DeRozan deal in the similar light to the one that the Bucks made for Drew Holiday, right? Where they overpaid for Drew Holiday, but the timing was perfect because Giannis was going to sign the Supermax with the team, or he wasn't, or he was going to leave. And so they needed to go all in, and said, so in a similar light, the Bulls in some sense also find themselves at a critical crossroads as a team. Their up-and-coming star, Zach LaVine, will be a very sought-after free agent. His best days seem to be ahead of him. After years of failing to put any semblance of talent around LaVine, as well as failing to draft and develop other potential stars, the Bulls revamped their organization and made wholesale changes to the roster this offseason. Their objective has been clear: maximize the talent around LaVine and persuade him to commit to Chicago long-term. And I said, it's easy to see how adding a player of DeMar's caliber at this time makes a world of sense. He's a veteran talent that has playoff experience, has been a leader on successful teams, something that the Bulls have had very little of in the past decade. And then we talked about the alternatives, and I know I talked to you in preparation for that, writing that article. We talked a bunch, but what we thought DeMar would do on this team was we needed a half court creator, high level half court creator. We needed someone who could get to the free throw line and be efficient and like low turnover and crunch time. And I said DeMar does all three, right? He gets to the rim, draws shooting fouls in the 99th percentile. He's 100th percentile in assists, 96 in assists to usage, 90th percentile in turnovers for his position. He's the most efficient isolation scorer in the entire league. So I felt like I was pretty high on DeMar. I was like, man, you and I talked about this so much. He was the perfect fit on court, right? From an offensive standpoint, DeMar was the perfect fit for this team. And he's blown it out of the water. Like, not only has he done all those things, but he's been an incredible mentor to a lot of the players on this team. He's been the closer. Like, I think I was arguing with someone on Twitter because they were like, "Oh, like DeMar should never have the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter." I'm like, DeMar should have the ball in his hands in the fourth quarter for almost every team in the NBA that he could be on. Like, there's almost no one you should trust more in the clutch than DeMar DeRozan on offense. And he's made me look way smarter than I am because of it. I reread that article, and I was just like, man, it has been absolutely fantastic. And the outcomes that I compared where it could crash and burn completely. He could just tear his ACL day one or something, and like it just completely crash. It could turn out like the Brooklyn Nets, situation with trading all those picks. But I also said like, I'd say like there's been criticism of the deal that what's their high end, right? What they make the first or second round of the playoffs and then bow out. And I was like, go ask the Kings of the Timberwolves how thrilled they'd be to lose in the second round at the cost of their first round pick in the 20s, right?
Yeah.
Like, the reality is that most teams would make that exchange. And the bigger goal with DeMar DeRozan is putting a big market team like the Chicago Bulls back on the map in free agency, right? And I think AK has done that with Lonzo Ball, with Alex Caruso, with DeMar DeRozan, trading for Vooch. Like, he's just put all these pieces together. So DeMar has been, I think, the cornerstone of that whole thing. Like, he is so important to that. And I know we talked at the beginning of the season, and it's like, would you trade DeMar for like Ben Simmons or like, like, because we all kind of thought, hey, DeMar, I thought DeMar would get money, but I didn't think he'd get like $28 million a year kind of money.
Right.
But I mean, I don't know about you, but I think $28 million for his contract this year has been a complete underpay for what he's provided. Dude is given like all NBA MVP conversation level talent and production on a nightly basis. So anyways, super long-winded rant, but like, I cannot believe how amazing DeMar has been for this team. Like, he could not play the next 2 years and still be worth the money we pay him, to me.
Yeah, I mean,
he could play 0 games.
I mean, you hit it on the nose, man. And I kind of think of it this way too. Like, I don't know if we still know enough information about the numbers that other teams were offering him. But I mean, a guy at his age, a guy that probably felt a little slighted about in terms of how teams were looking at him.
Yeah.
And for the Bulls to give him that type of money when probably other teams were, now that we kind of can have like some sense of what was going on, like maybe teams weren't offering that amount of money. And for who knows, maybe he kind of felt like, man, this organization really offering me this type of money because they still think I'm this type of player. I got to show them that I am. And kudos, man. I mean, the dude, man, he's been awesome.
And that reminds me, Larro, of something that we talked about, that every player who's come here, whether it was Lonzo, Caruso, or DeMar, they all said the same thing about their conversation with AK, the front office, and Billy, that the Bulls believed in them as players. Like, they said, just be you.
Yeah.
Be you. We want you. We don't want you to have to fit in nook and cranny, and like, we don't want you to have to change. We want you because you're the player we need. You are the player we need. And Lonzo said it. Alex Caruso said it. DeMar DeRozan said it. They just want you to be you. And
Yeah.
that is so empowering as an organization to have that type of, because that type of word from a player like DeMar DeRozan will travel around the league, like to other free agents. And I don't think it's a coincidence that Tristan Thompson signed here. He's a clutch client.
Yeah.
I don't think it's, and obviously he's not like the super high caliber free agent, but Chicago's back on the map, I think, in large part to what has happened over the last year with this team.
No doubt. And one last thing I wanted to touch on about the whole DeMar DeRozan situation is, like, I think one of the things that I like, after a game's over, I go right to my Twitter and wait for that update, that notification for Billy Donovan is now speaking to the media.
Yes,
because
me too.
because like Billy does, and Chris Herring and Zach Lowe have all said too, like, Billy Donovan is one of those guys that like says a lot of stuff, and then when you go back and look at your notes, you're like, man, he didn't say much. But like listening to him and how he tries to explain things for the fan, and even for people like us and people that are listening right now that love the game of ball, like, he does a really good job of really letting us in on what he was thinking on certain rotations, certain play calls. And one of the things that he brought up was when he assigned DeMar DeRozan, he said he went to talk to Chris Paul, and how he just wanted to understand, like, he just wanted to talk to another person like Chris Paul in terms of like how he felt about the whole, analytical world, saying that, the 3 is worth more than 2, blah, 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 blah. And how he wanted him to be him. He didn't want him to come here and put up a lot of threes. He wanted him to be who DeMar DeRozan is, and that's playing your game, and getting to the mid-range. And it also helps that, he's very efficient from there. So it's just like, you got to love a coach like that isn't like, I know what I need to do. Like, for him to still talk to certain players, talk to certain coaches, to really understand like how they may have coached that said player, or, talk to players on like how they feel about certain situations. Like, I just love that about Billy, and it really shows why this Bulls team is really taken to Billy. Even when you could tell, like, when Zach gets frustrated at like the quick timeouts that Billy, throws out there. But like, I think when a coach like Billy allows a culture of like player friendly, having a good player coach situation, how that really helps with tough situations, really helps with talking to players when you gotta, for instance, like Alfonzo Mckinnie, like when he was waived, like being able to talk to players like that because they know that you weren't toying with their opportunity, that he allowed them to kind of like play themselves out of the rotation rather than him just like pulling them out. So I think it all helps when you're that type of coach where, when you have to have tough conversations, and when you want a team to kind of galvanize around you, like, he's like the perfect storm of what kind of coach you would want. And man, dude, what can you say about Billy, man? He's really done a good job.
Well, when we're jumping the gun here, because we'll talk about Billy at the end of all this plays, but I think you're right. And Nippy, I think, nails it here. It really seems like the ultimate players coach. And I don't have any arguments there. So I know we talked about Vooch a little bit, but I'm gonna let you speak on Vooch for a minute here as well, because I know you're a big Vooch guy. How's Vooch done this season? Has he met your expectations? Has he exceeded them? Has he underwhelmed? What's he done for you?
Okay, let me take the Vucevic fandom hat off for a second. So looking at Vooch coming into the season, I think if I had to point out something that has been disappointing for me, is definitely, and probably the only thing, is the 3-point shooting. I thought that, coming into the season, having guys like DeMar DeRozan and Zach LaVine creating those open looks for him, that he'd be able to, shoot close to that same percentage that he's been shooting the last couple of years. Mm-hmm. And for the most part, it hasn't been that. But I think Vucevic, one of the things that you can really just give him so much props for is, no matter if his shot wasn't falling or he was having a bad day, or like the dude has brung it, night in and night out in terms of defensively. And again, every player has off nights, right? But like when you think about Vucevic, he has had some clunkers. There's no doubt about that in terms of being on both ends, like having a bad defense day. Like the one that sticks out to me big time is the Grizzlies game on national television. I felt like Vooch just wasn't there at all.
Yeah.
But for the most part, man, the dude has really been just consistent in terms of rebounding, playing in drop, the passing ability, attacking closeouts. Just I've seen more clips, watching the games over, just looking more in him communicating on the defensive end, like that. I don't think maybe I haven't noticed it, but I always felt like Vooch may have not communicated as well as like a Wendell or some of the better defensive bigs in the league. But like watching him closely now, you can see him communicating. And I just, there's not much I can say, not much else I can say about Vooch. I'm glad that he has continued to put his head down and continue to work to get back to where he needs to be in order to help this team going forward. Shout out to him, man, because the way this city can be sometimes in terms of players just not playing well, a lot of people don't want to hear it, but I mean,
They'll get on you.
these dudes are human just like us, you know what I'm saying? So like, for him to continue to fight through that, man, hats off to him, man.
Yeah. I think Nippy nails it here about the offense, how important he is to the offense, even if he's not making shots.
Yeah.
Vooch is really just a huge – he's the grease on the wheels of this offense. And, Nippy's right. When he was out, when he had Tony Bradley trying to do what he was doing, it wasn't happening. And I know Derek Jones came in and he provided some really nice, short roll passing at the nail. But Vooch is something else. I mean, and I feel like recently he's been pump faking people out at the 3-point line and driving right to the basket. He's had some nice dunks the last week or two. He's just dunking on people's heads. And I love, you could just see the confidence coming back. He's definitely a confidence player. And you could tell that as he's starting to knock down those shots, the shots he's taking with more confidence. I sound like Stacey King right now, but confidence is his favorite thing to talk about. But it really is true, I think, with Vooch. He's really come around. And I agree, Larro. I mean, I think he's been really consistent outside of a few instances on defense. I think he's been really consistent defensively. And obviously he's in a tough spot right now with Lonzo and Caruso out, because having Javonte and Derek Jones helps a lot. But having those two guys out puts Vooch in a tough position, in drop defense. But I think overall he's done really, really good. I mean, and if you look at the advanced defensive numbers, they're all really good for Vooch this year.
Yeah.
And, at its peak, when everyone is healthy, this was a top 5 defense. So you got a top 5 defense with Nikola Vucevic as your center. I think you're in pretty good shape, regardless of anything else. Yeah. So I'm just glad the shot's fallen. Like, he's been shooting like 60% from 2 the last like month and a half. So if we just get normal Vooch in the playoffs, I mean, we're gonna watch out, man. It's gonna be a lot of fun.
I just go back to like before the season when we were kind of like talking about what this team could be playoff time. I think people like they have this season have underrated the type of player that Vucevic is, and what he's going to bring in a playoff setting where the game is slowed down. You're gonna have to play kind of inside out type of ball. You're going to need a big that is versatile in terms of passing out of the post, passing out a short roll. And what he's going to bring is going to be big time for this team. Because, again, Vooch has kind of turned into someone where you don't have to run. Like, at first, like when he was going through a stretch, Billy had to, like, try to run certain sets just to get him touches, because he was just in a slump. But, like, where he is now and how confident he is, now you don't really have to run much for him. You can kind of just – run some stuff for Zach and DeMar. And if they play off of Vooch, you can hit him just because his confidence is back where it needs to be. He's someone like you don't have to run certain sets for at the moment. And hopefully that continues. And you can just kind of have him play off of, pick and pop, They're going to have to double DeMar, and they're going to have to blitz Zach as well, so that he's going to be huge, passing out a short roll. Also, his 15-footer, 17-foot jump shot, you're going to have to play that. Him being, I think Javonte is going to eat a lot off of him, especially in the playoffs, where, they're going to have to show a little bit more off of Vooch, and you can get that backdoor lob for Javonte and Pat when he comes back. So, like, he is, as much as people crap on the guy at times, he is, like Nippy said, man, like that dude is like the key cog in terms of keeping the whole offense flowing. Because if you didn't have Vooch, I mean, you'd still be able to get buckets with DeMar and Zach. But in terms of a playoff setting, like, he's the guy that you're going to need to be, that passing out a short roll, passing out a post play, being able to knock down his 16, 17 footers off pick and pop. Like, he's going to be huge. And for him to really get back on track says a lot about him, and it says a lot about what this team can be in the playoffs.
100%. So Salim mentioned that Vooch and Ayo have built some great chemistry. Vooch and Kobe have built some great chemistry. We'll talk about both of those guys a little bit later. But Vooch is easy to play with. If he's the big that you're running pick and roll with, you can do a lot of things with Vooch out there. Just a lot of things.
Yeah.
There's almost nothing you can't do with Vooch except for the lob, right? I mean, the lob's the only thing he's not really doing.
Yeah.
Trim Baker, can't wait for Zoe, AC, people to get back. Cannot wait. They are so important to this team. So let's talk about the next guy on the list, which is Lonzo Ball. He signed for 20-ish million a year for the next 4 years. And there was a lot of consternation, I thought, at the beginning of the year, especially from Zoe fans out there, about what his role was going to be. And, some of the comments that showed up of, like, him being more of a traditional point guard and things. And, I mean, I got to say for Lonzo, since I gave you the last two, I'll do my spiel on Lonzo first.
Go ahead. Yeah, go ahead, brother.
I think the thing that's impressed me most on the floor is his defense. His screen navigation has improved so much this year. I mean, he legitimately was an all-defensive team candidate, I think, before his injury. I really think, like, he's been that good defensively. The point of attack, his point of attack defense in years past was kind of almost his weakness.
Yeah.
On the defensive end, he's so good as a help defender, as a roamer, just kind of playing free safety out there.
Yeah.
But he has really, really become an almost elite point of attack defender. I don't know if it's just the Alex Caruso effect, giving him pointers on how to navigate those screens, but he's just been so good at it, generating steals and blocks, and he's just him and Caruso out there is so nasty. It's just so nasty defensively.
Yeah.
And you got guys like Javonte and Ayo that can also replicate some of what they're doing on defense. Those four together, man, if you got any two of those guys on the floor, it's over for opposing ball handler. So I think defensively he's just been so much better than I hoped he. And I knew he was a good defender. I thought he was a good defender, but he's been an elite defender this year.
Yeah.
And I think that's what's impressed me most. Also, for all the consternation at the beginning of the year, he's had no complaints. We've heard nothing. Dude just wants to win and wants to ball. No pun intended. And he's just been super chill. Like, he's just fit right in with this team. It seems like he's having fun out there.
Yeah.
I don't know about you, but I haven't seen any issues with him at all. I know since he's been out and Ayo's been doing good, we've had some Lonzo fans calling for him to get traded or something. It's like, dude, Lonzo fits perfectly on this team, and he just matches so well because of his skill set on offense. Number one, he's a phenomenal transition passer and creator. He's so good at maintaining and finding the right pass when the defense is already broken down, when they're already in rotation. He's so good at finding the next pass. His shooting has been on another level this year. He's shooting 42, 43% before he went out from three on high volume. Dude's just bringing it in every aspect of the game that you want him to.
Yeah.
Like, the only thing he's not making is that little pull-up midi that he's tried all year. But I'm honestly, like, what else has he not done extremely well? Like, he's even run a little bit of pick and roll with Vooch, where he kind of gets right to the nail on the right side or the left side, and he'll kick it off to Vooch for a nice little 15-footer, open 15-footer. he's been totally worth the money, he just fits so well with this team because Lonzo is a guy that won't fit with every team.
Yeah.
Because of you really need guys that can get to the rim and can dribble and create space for themselves next to him on the floor to really maximize his potential. And that's what we got in Zach and Zach and DeMar that can do that. So he's totally he's not only met, but he's exceeded my expectations this year. And I think Lonzo's been a great fit. I cannot wait to see him back. I hope he's back soon, man. He's gonna be really important for this team going forward.
Yeah, man. Lonzo, he's been fun, man. And I think once again, we talked about it before the season, and a lot of Lonzo fans didn't want to hear it. And I'm a Lonzo fan too, so I don't want to make it seem like, it's Lonzo's fans that are always
love
wrong.
Lonzo Ball. He's so good.
Seriously. But like, I think where he has really thrived is when the ball has been in Zach DeMar's hands and they create like a bent defense and swing the ball to him. Him being able to make the right pass and attack a tilted defense, like he thrives in that. And he's somebody that I believe before he went out was putting up 7 or 8 threes a game.
Yeah,
shooting the same percentage I think he was from 2-point percentage. I think if I remember right, I think like 42%, and then like the 2-point percent was like 42% or something like that.
Exactly, 42.3% from 2, 42.3% from 3 on 7.4 attempts a game from 3 before he went out. So
like we talked about it.
Just Mr. Consistent over here.
We talked about it though, man. Like Zoe, yeah, he's positioned like him in the starting lineup, point guard, no doubt. But like he's more of like a 3-and-D wing almost, with like some that transition juice. You know what I mean? That guy that really thrives as well in the transition. So like, he's really fit in really well with this team. The offense that we run like fits him. Is very free flowing, 5-out kind of motion offense, and it's been a delight, man, with Lonzo, man. So I can't wait for him to get back. I hope he comes back speedy and healthy.
He just fits. Fits. Like however you want to describe him, right? Like I know. I called him more of a wing in his role in New Orleans, right? He was kind of more of a 3D wing. But is there a guy in the NBA? I've thought about this question. Is there a guy this season in the NBA that has been more 3-and-D than Lonzo Ball, due to shooting 42% from 3 on almost 8 attempts a game, and he's an elite All NBA defensive player. In the size of a wing. Like he has been the quintessential absolute best version of a 3-and-D player, but on top of that, he's got the passing chops and the processing speed and the transition game that allows him to play kind of as your lead creator in those instances, and especially as you mentioned against an already tilted defense. Yeah, he's just a phenomenal player, and he fits so well with this team. I got nothing but love for Lonzo.
Yeah, man. Shout out Lonzo, man.
Oh, I also wanted to mention. So he was so much better at catch and shoot threes than off the dribble threes in the past. This year, his off the dribble threes have really, really come around. Like he's been really good at those too. So, yeah. I mean, he's improved at that. So he's really improved his defense, especially at the point of attack. And I think he's really improved his off the dribble threes. Like he'll take that little one step.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Or sometimes he'll catch it and then he'll take a dribble and then pull up. But he's been good. He's been shooting with confidence. I got nothing else to say on Lonzo. He's just so good. He's been so valuable to us.
No doubt. I totally agree with everything you've been saying, brother.
All right, so let's get to his counterpart on Team Chaos, which is Alex Caruso. What do you thought of Alex Caruso when he's brought this year to the team? We'll get to Tristan Thompson. We'll have a full breakdown of what he can do. We'll have some film. We'll talk about it. So I know if you're anxious for Tristan Thompson, we'll definitely talk about his role in the team, what he can bring at the end of the year.
Man, Caruso, man. Alex Caruso, the headband bandit. Like I think what he brings to this team, like we know what he does on court. Like hell of a point of attack defender, if not the best point of attack defender in the NBA. Shout out, what he did to Monte Morris in Denver.
Oh no.
Shout out to the couple strips he got away from Steph in the Golden State game.
Shut down Harden.
Right.
He made Harden fly hell.
We talked about it with Steph. No, the dude is like he's the answers to the test. You know what I'm saying? Like we multiple times, if you listen to the game, and sometimes sometimes a boom mic will catch a lot of the players talking. He'll be shouting. He may be on the weak side and shouting out what's going on the strong side. Hey, there's going to be a zipper screen coming. Hey, DJJ, get here. Pointing everybody where they need to be. And for sure enough, we defend the damn play really well. The passing has been underrated. I think me being not being able to watch Lakers games, I wasn't fully in tune with the type of passer he is. You know what I'm saying?
Like why couldn't you watch Lakers game, Larro? You too much hate in your heart, or what's going on here?
Well, I mean, like, if they come on national television, I watch them, but like not game after game after game.
Yeah, I consume as little Lakers as possible. I'll be honest. So I'm with you, but I still knew Caruso was legit. He was the truth.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
Keenan's right here too. He's got that Noah energy.
Yes,
he's the quarterback on defense. He's quarterback in the defense, as you said. It's not Vooch necessarily. It's Caruso out there doing that.
Yes, and
in jail. Had him in jail. That's right, Salim.
I remember when me and Salim went to the Bulls game, the home opener. The energy, like Caruso had just joined the team, but everybody in that stadium was all about Caruso. Everything, him pointing to the crowd, rubbing the head in. Him and Lonzo had
that Pelicans game, right?
Yes,
that Pelicans game.
Yes, man, this city loves Caruso. But also, we talked about on the court, but off the court, what you've seen with him in games, just being able to watch him when he's on the sideline. When we see guys, I love Kawhi, but you see guys like Kawhi, if they're injured, they're up in the skybox. They're not sitting on the bench, or they're at home. For him, Pat Will, for those guys to be on the bench. And I remember there was a play. Who was it? D'Angelo Russell that got him with the rip through, got Io with the rip through move.
Yeah.
The very first person to go over to him was Caruso. And it was like a very in-depth, very like, hey, when he does this, boom, boom, boom. When he does this, zoom, zoom. And like, he's just everything you need from a player like him as a veteran, a guy that's won a championship, that has been had to get it out of the mud in terms of becoming a rotational player in the NBA. And who knows the type of leadership he's showing in practice. I just think he is a great player to have on this team when you have a Io Dosunmu who has all the tools to be a very good defender and passing chops that are there. And
the passing.
Caruso.
Caruso got it, man.
Caruso is everything. And I kind of want to back off because I want to hear you, because you love this dude, man. This is your Caruso guy. So
there's everything you said is on point, right? His point of attack defense, his navigation of screens is like sexual healing for any team defense. It's incredible what he's able to do on defense. Just blowing up these screens, getting over, just blowing up plays. He is absolutely a game changer on defense. He is, as you mentioned, if not the best point of attack defender in the NBA, is top 3. Yeah. He belongs on the first team all defense this year if he didn't get hurt.
Yeah.
He quarterbacks it. He teaches. His processing speed. We talk about Lonzo Ball's processing speed on the offensive end with what he can do with the ball. Alex Caruso does that on the defensive end, I think, with his processing. Not only is he quick, he's athletic, but he just knows what to do. He knows where his hands are supposed to be. He knows where his feet are supposed to be. He knows what the player's going to do. He knows their tendencies. He's a defensive creator. We talk about offensive creators that can create offense for themselves and others. Alex Caruso is a defensive creator. He creates defensive events for himself and for the team. And that is a rare quality. I mean, he's that good defensively as we think about some of the greatest creators in the game on offense, like Chris Paul, right? or LaMelo Ball or Luka, LeBron, that's who Caruso is on the defensive end to me. And so the fact that we've been missing Alex Caruso and Lonzo Ball, who are both all defense level players, they're all stars on the defensive end for us and really important offensive players. And we're still tied for first place, blows my mind. But we're a top 5 defense with those two guys on the floor. So I love Alex Caruso. I knew he was going to be a great signing. I knew the city was going to come, support him. Darius here had a comment. He said Caruso was like a bigger Kirk Heinrich. he kind of like Kirk was a phenomenal 3-point shooter. Obviously, he holds the Bulls record for 3-point shooting. But he's got that grit that Kirk had kind of in the early days. He's just got that. The city loves him. Like the city loves Caruso, and because that Caruso is gonna hustle, heart, and muscle every single play on the floor.
Yeah,
he's that Joakim Noah kind of mold for us, and we've got him for the next 4 years, man, for less than $10 million a year.
That's crazy.
It's stupid. It's
the type of value you're gonna get back on that contract is crazy.
He's so underpaid. He's so underpaid already. Yeah, but I know the comments are going crazy too, and I wish I could read them in real time here. Salim, I have DM'd the Bulls Madhouse. I'm so mad at them. They don't have my freaking jersey. So when I'm going to be in Chicago next weekend, I'm going to try and get myself a Caruso jersey while I'm there. That's going to be the present to myself. Black with the pinstripes Caruso jersey. It's happening. It's going to happen in Chicago. So. Yeah, Caruso's hair, the G League.
Yeah.
The one, you can't have everything. You can't have everything. So the man had to give up his hair for the good of the team.
He could hit up Brian Urlacher, man, and get some of that whatever that stuff is called. I can't remember what it's called. Get his hair back.
Karen Butler? Did you see Karen Butler's hair?
No,
because he's got like
Karan Butler.
Oh, sorry, I was like, I think I mispronounced this. Karan Butler, yeah.
Man,
do you see his hair? It's like Caruso. Let's make it happen. Let's make it happen. I will say Caruso on the offensive end has been like as far as his shooting, hasn't been as consistent as I would hope. But he just does everything else so well. Like he's such a smart player on the offensive end. He just makes the right play all the time. He's got the great passing. He just moves the ball. And so even if he's not making shots, like I think having him on the floor has been, he's obviously with our starting lineup. If you swap Pat with Caruso, and obviously Pat only played a few games, or swap Javonte with Caruso, they have like a really, really great net rating together. So I mean, he's been phenomenal. He's been a closing level player for us all year. So, Edward Sheeran says he compared Caruso to a souped up Garrett Temple when he got him, and now it's disrespectful. That's right. But it's true because people were like, well, is he really that much of an upgrade? Like, are Lonzo and Caruso really that much of an upgrade defensively on like Garrett Temple and Satoransky? And I'm like, yes, they are. And I love Satoransky. I love Garrett Temple. They're both really nice players for us. But these are elite defensive players. So I know we spent too much time on Caruso. I don't think that's possible, but I'm just we're gonna have to move on.
I think before we move on,
yes.
I think a lot of people as well. I'm reading Twitter we're saying, well, I would be good at defense too if I had LeBron and then Anthony Davis as the two guys to rotate. And I think if you were looking at the film, going back and watching the games and watching just Caruso, if you just watch his technique at getting over screens, the communication, and also he understands angles really well. Like I just feel like when you just take the product itself and you look at it, there's no way that was fake because of Anthony Davis and LeBron James. I mean, Caruso is crazy. He's damn good.
Now you're seeing the Lakers are fake without him. Like it was Caruso. It was Caruso that was propping that defense up. I mean, obviously LeBron and AD are all, great defensive players too. But they swapped out KCP and Caruso and Kuzma, who I think were all really underrated defensive players for him. Yeah, and this is what you get. So, all right, let's move on to our makeshift starter, the 6'5" power forward Javonte Green.
Hey.
I got to give some love to Javonte Green, but I'm going to let you do it first. So, how do you think he's done this year? Because I didn't think he would be in the rotation consistently.
I have to be honest, right? So if anybody was here, any of the guys that are in the chat or ladies, that was
Ladies.
watching or listening, I said that one of the reasons I thought it'd be right to make a move for Harrison Barnes or a Jeremy Grant or anybody else is because I didn't trust that Javonte Green could add anything offensively in the half court. And I mean, obviously, his success right now, we don't know if that'll translate to the playoffs. I mean, it's a higher stakes, different type of game in the playoffs, so you never know. But if Javonte can be this type of player in the half court where he's been making teams pay for leaving him open in the corner, or he had an above the break three the other night, I'm like, if he can be this guy that can hurt you, if you choose to leave him open. Also, if you play him too tight, he's very smart in terms of when to cut. He can get above the rim. That's something that can help you. If we already know what he is on the defensive end. I mean, the dude is just so athletic and so explosive. He's very good at getting into your dribble, forcing you off spots you want to get you where you want to be. I think Javonte is just, kind of a, he's been everything and more, honestly, because when you came to the season, you really weren't talking about Javonte that much. You know what I mean? Like you weren't like, oh man, Javonte Green, if we like everything that he has been just, was that found money or like
Found
it's just
money.
it's just been great, man. So I'll let you get to Javonte because I know you got some flowers. So there you go.
See, we both knew at the end of last season that Javonte could defend. He was a good defender and he was very athletic. But I think you're right. Like, it was offensively, what's he going to be doing for us?
Yeah.
He's really found a nice niche in that offense because, as the fifth starter, there's not a lot of focus on him. So his job is to take advantage of the lack of attention on him. And that's what he's doing. He's making those threes. He's getting in the lane and getting offensive boards and just harassing people, like, because they're not looking for him. They're looking for DeMar, looking for Zach. They're looking for these other guys. And Javonte is just sneaking in behind.
Yep.
You'll see him cut baseline, come up for a putback dunk, or just draw some loose ball fouls, or he's just out there to be a pest, and he's really freaking good at it. And I just think he's been really, really good. He's been complete found money. He's making almost nothing. I think Darius is right here. I think his IQ or his feel for the game, I think, is underrated. He just finds those spots where he needs to be. He's always in the right spot. And, Stacey's always like, there's 5 Javontes out there because he's just always where he should be. He's always where there's action happening. He's making stuff happen. I think he's a defensive creator and an offense creator but he's off ball. He's just complete off ball. Yeah, making things happen out there. So I love that we got him. I think, honestly, I think the Daniel Gafford trade might have been worth it just for what we've gotten out of Javonte this year. Yeah. And I know Daniel Gafford's having a nice time in Washington. He got his money. Congrats to him. And he's having a good time and he deserves it. But like Javonte's been a lifesaver for us at the power forward position. Like what he's been able to do, and I think it fits so well with the scheme that Billy's running of having those 4 switchable guards. They're all kind of 6'5-ish, 6'6", that can all just 1 through 4 switch, make it easy, make Vooch's life easier for him. And the scheme that we run defensively makes it so critical that we have guys on the wing that can rotate and recover really, really quickly and be really athletic and springy. And Derek Jones and Javonte Green and Ayo fit that mold so well as, being able to play the low man or weak side defensive help, that they make it happen. And so that doesn't work without those guys. And so Javonte Green's been a huge, huge blessing for this team. At basically no cost. I mean, Billy threw him out there in preseason kind of just to see what it would look like. He just had a hunch, and then he's been the starter. Every time he's there, he's been the starter, and he deserves it. He's been that good. It's been that good.
Man, him on the break, when him and
Oh my
Lonzo's on
gosh.
the floor and Zach's on the floor, like having Javonte and Zach on the floor attacking on a break, golly, talk about a nightmare for a transition
Yeah.
defense. I mean,
Shy Slamma Jamma.
man,
I love it. So much
unreal.
fun. This team's so much freaking fun.
Yeah.
So yeah, I love Javonte. He's been great. So there's the next two guys I really want to talk about and give some flowers to are Kobe and Io. So we'll start with Kobe. Missed 6 months of the year.
Yeah.
With that shoulder surgery. He came back, scored 0 points his first 2 games, looked terrible offensive, like just looked like he'd missed 6 months of basketball.
Yeah.
Then he had COVID.
Yep.
And then he came back, and for the last month and a half or two, he's been phenomenal. And it's not the shooting, and the shooting's good, right? Let me see if I can pull it up. Like the shooting's been good, right?
Yeah.
Because we've been talking about how Kobe is this catch and shoot player. That's his strength. That's the strength.
Yep.
That's what he's really, really good at. He's shooting 40% this year on 5.9, almost 6 attempts a game. But that's not what has impressed me about Kobe, because I always knew he could do that.
Yeah.
What's impressed me about Kobe is everything else that he's doing on the court. We said this last year. If he wants to be a winning player, he cannot be reliant on just being the microwave scorer, because we know he can do that stuff.
Yep.
What he needs to get better at is defense, both on the ball and off the ball. He needs to be better at rebounding. He needs to be better just court awareness, communication, rebounding. I think I said rebounding twice, but all the other things in his game need to improve. And he has done every single thing, I think. Like he has improved every single aspect of his game this year. And so he's become, even when his shot is not falling, he's a winning player on the court, which I think is an upgrade from where he's been. I always knew that he could do those things.
Yeah.
But he's going through, he's developing those things. And so not only is he shooting what we thought he could shoot from 3 and being that catch and shoot off the ball player, spark plug, he can step in and kind of be a mini Zach LaVine as he's been. But he is doing the things. I know we pointed this out in some film. We've talked with guys like Chip or Steph No about this kind of stuff too. You watch him at the rim, contesting guys at the rim and stonewalling them.
Yeah,
with his arms. He's just been so impressive this year. I got nothing but good things to say about Kobe. I mean, he's not like a phenomenal defensive player, but he's not hurting you. He was like the 6th percentile in defense last year. He was like one of the worst defenders in the NBA last year. And I know there was a lot of caveats to that, but he's really improved. Like he's taken the leap like Zach, I think, took the leap.
Yeah.
Where he's just so much better with his awareness and his defensive, his angles, his techniques, getting over screens. I think he's just his lock and trail. He's just been a complete turnaround over the course of the season. So that's my spiel on him. Do you agree with me? Has Kobe exceeded your expectations, and is he doing those little things like I think he's doing?
Yeah, no, I totally agree with you, man.
We're giving the Bulls a lot of love tonight, and they deserve it. I'm just saying.
So with Kobe, and I wrote an article about him earlier in the season. I really thought you could see it. You could see the signs of him really turning the corner.
Yeah.
And I think it's at least for me. Like obviously, I'm not in the locker room. I've had conversations with Kobe, but I think it's 2 things, right? One, you're on a winning team that has chance to fight in the playoffs and get to an ECF, maybe more. So it's like, oh shoot, I got to get my stuff together. Otherwise, I might be the weak link on the team. Mm-hmm. And the second part is we have talked about it, right? Where if you're asking Kobe to be the main ball handler, break down defenses all game and find the right plays, that's not going to be his game. But when you add DeMar DeRozan to this team, you add a Vucevic, and we already saw last season when Vucevic came over, him and Kobe had already had like a good rapport.
Great chemistry.
Yeah. And I think he's been able to attack bent defenses more often. He's been able to shoot more catch and shoot threes. And the biggest thing, if you take a look at his field goal percentage at the rim from 0 to 3.
Yes.
Last season, he ended with 55%. His very first season as a rookie, he was at 53%. This season, he has 65% at the rim.
Yes.
That is a huge jump and something that is huge for his game. And that to me says it brings up a lot because he has to be able to finish at the rim, and he's been really good at that. So shout out Kobe. He's really improved in everything that you said defensively, transition defense, passing.
Yeah, transition,
better.
man. Transition defense has been killer.
Yes.
He's been so good in transition defense. I cannot believe it. Like Keenan says it here, right, in the comments. Looks like a brand new player. I mean, honestly, like the things that he was really, really weak at this year or last year, and even early on in the season, it just completely turned it around. Completely. And I want to say his passing too. His passing last year, I thought his passing was a little underrated. Now he wasn't making like super high level reads, but he was making good decisions with the ball for the most part. Like his assist to turnover ratio was really good. It was like almost 3-1 last year.
Mm-hmm.
And this year, I think he's starting to make those high level reads a little bit more often. And as you said, if there's a tilted defense, Kobe, his patience and his technique in getting to the rim and being able to finish at the rim has just skyrocketed. Yeah, he's shooting 65% at the rim, or 0 to 3 feet. He's been so good.
How about this? And I just saw this from 16 feet to 3-point range. He's at 48%.
Well, we talked about that last year, right? His little nail jumper. He would get that little step back nail jumper. He's still pulling it from there. I think he was shooting 43% last year. Now he's shooting 48%. So he's continued to get a little better at that. It's just been good. He's just been everything. I mean, he and Ayo, and we'll talk about Ayo next, but he and Ayo have just really stepped it up this year and really impressed. I agree with Keenan. Like that month, like the month of March through the early April, whenever the season ends, if we can get those guys healthy and gelling, I mean, man, this team's gonna be so good. It's so fun to watch in the playoffs.
Yeah.
And I think Darius is right. We have 10 really talented players on this team. And we've got most of them under contract for a long time. Like Zach's like the only free agent here.
Yeah.
That we really, need to worry about.
Yeah.
And I agree with Ed Sheeran here. Taking his lumps early, being a starting point guard last year helped him in the long run, which is what we said. We said it would help him, right? Even if that wasn't his long-term role.
Yeah.
Getting those reps as an on-ball creator, getting those reps as an on-ball defender, we're going to help him become a better player and more useful down the line. And as we've talked about this year with all the injuries and COVID and things, it's given guys opportunities to step up into roles that they weren't necessarily as comfortable with, right? We learned that Derrick Jones Jr. is a great short roll center, right? We learned that Javonte Green can play power forward and defend people in the post. We learned that Kobe White can be a really nice shooting guard as a starter. We learned that Dosunmu, he can play point guard. He can rack up those assists. We've learned a lot of cool things about this team because of injuries.
Yep.
So we've learned that we've learned some things that they can't do at the same time. But Kobe's exceeded my expectations. I really honestly did not expect a whole lot from Kobe because he missed the entire offseason, because he missed training camp, because he was injured, because he had COVID, and because his role on this team was, even though it was more defined in a way that I think suited him, you didn't know how he was going to respond. You didn't know if he was going to be able to find his way in all of that. And he really has. So 100% credit to Kobe White for making us all look like fools. I mean, you and I have, I think, believed in him more than most.
Yeah.
But he's impressed me more than I thought he would. He really has.
Yeah. Shout out, like, for someone to come off a shoulder injury, have those type of performances when he came back from his injuries, hear all the Kobe sucks. Kobe needs to be out of here. He's a bum.
Y'all gotta chill, by the way.
Like,
just chill.
For him to take all of that, bro, and really, just dial it in and be where he's at right now. I mean, it says a lot about his mental makeup, honestly. I mean, also too, like, for Zach to go out and then him have to step up and be the starting 2 guard and give that close to same production as Zach.
And he has.
I mean, come on,
He dropped
man.
30. He dropped 30 the other night, didn't he?
Yeah, I
He
think
just dropped
31.
30. Yeah.
Hey,
So
shout out
Billy's
to
talked about his mental makeup. And that one of the things that Billy loves so much about him, and why Billy has so much confidence in him is because of that mental makeup and what he's able to do.
yeah.
That he just fights through adversity and just keeps going. And we've seen it. He's had to fight through a whole lot of adversity in his first 2.5 years.
Yep.
And he's really making it happen. So it's great to see. All right, I'm going to let you give Io some love because I know Io has exceeded even your expectations. So let me hear it. Let's see. What do you think about Io?
Yeah, man. I think when we did our our episode about Dosunmu, we kind of broke him down in his last season before he came out with Illinois. And some of the things that continue to pop up as you watch film on Io when he was in college is the defensive ability on ball. We've talked about it with Steph, and we also brought it up on the pod, like off ball. He can be a little aggressive. And what I mean by that is like he can see a turnover that trying to anticipate turnovers and turnover doesn't happen. And then his man is wide open for layup and things like that. We've seen that, but I think he will continue to improve there. But in terms of offensively, for Ricky to come in and get comfortable, forget about like the skill part of it right now. But way he talks to DeMar DeRozan, the way he talks to Vucevic, DeMar DeRozan getting all, I think he didn't get a foul call and he's probably going to get thrown out the game or a tech or something like that. And him come over and carry the vet away. Like that says a lot about what this team thinks of Io, because a rookie doing that to some vets, that ain't happening. He gonna tell you, Rookie, get the hell out of my face. You haven't been here long enough to even think about telling me what to do. But for him to really gain that respect from the veterans, that says a lot about him. And then you move on to the on-court stuff, like him being able to handle the ball and pressure. A rookie, instead of giving the ball to Zach, giving the ball to Kobe, the rookie, hey, rookie, carry us home. Take care of this ball for us. And for the most part, he has done that whenever a team pressed him, whenever a team has turned up the defensive pressure trying to get a turnover. He's been the go-to guy when DeMar has been off the floor to carry the ball and get us into our sets. The pick and roll play, the off ball kind of connector role that he's flashed in terms of attacking closeouts and giving those very quick, decisive passes to cutters or Vooch having position down in the post. The 3-point shooting. I mean, the guy has surpassed, like you said, I did think he was going to be an impactful player, but I thought it was going to be more so on the defensive end and in transition. For him to really take that next leap, or not the next leap, but to really to figure it out in the half court, being a point guard and getting guys in the sets, getting us, finding the right passes, coming off screens. And, for him to do all these things as a rookie, says a lot, man.
It really does. And look at his shooting numbers. He's shooting, talk about Kobe shooting 65% at the rim. Io's shooting almost 68% from the rim. He's shooting 59% overall on twos, and he's shooting 40% on threes. So almost 41% on threes. So he's shooting almost 60-40, 60-40 on a decent number of attempts, and he's averaging three. So per 36 minutes, he's averaging 11 points, 4.3 assists to only 1.7 turnovers, which is really, really good for a rookie. Really good. And when he's had to step up and be a starting point guard, and in for Lonzo or in for Caruso, he's had several double-digit assist games. Like he's just, and as you said, I was thinking about this the other day about who I trust with the ball in their hands the most to make the right decision. I think Io for me is second on the list, only behind DeMar, and he's a rookie. Like for me, I'm like thinking, who do I trust with the ball in their hands to make the right decision with the ball and not like turn it over or do something silly? Like Io is really, really up there on that list. I think he might be second for me behind DeMar DeRozan. Like DeMar, I'm like, somebody give DeMar the ball so we can just calm down. Like I think about that all the time in crunch time.
Yeah.
But the second guy on that list, I think, is Io. Every time Io has the ball, I'm like, okay, we're good. Like he had that one game against Toronto at the very end where he made a couple mistakes in a row.
Yeah.
Other than that, like he's just been really, really consistently good. He just makes really good decisions with the ball. He takes the right shots. He makes the right decisions on defense. He does not play like a rookie at all. And he has been effective in defense and in transition. But the half court, as you said, Larro, is where he's really shined and outshone my expectations. So, so far, I think everyone has met or exceeded my expectations that we've talked about on this roster. And that's, we've talked about the starting 5 and 3 bench players now, I think.
Yeah.
And we didn't even talk about Pat. I think Pat we're going to have to give an incomplete on, obviously, because he's missed all but 5 games of the year.
Yeah.
But that's a lot of valuable players so far. So let's see. Next on the list, let's talk about Derek Jones Jr., who's next on the list. So, I think Derek's been really good for us.
Yeah.
He's actually shot fairly well. He hasn't been. I mean, it's still like not super great from 3. He's only taken 1.2 threes a game.
Yeah,
but he is shooting 40%. So like he's not super impactful there, but he is making a decent clip of the shots that he's taking. And obviously, I think defensively, what he's been doing for us as a small ball center has been really, really effective.
Yeah.
Obviously, in transition, the man can dunk from absolutely anywhere. And he just brings it on defense. I think he fouls still a little bit too much.
Yeah.
But it's usually because he's guarding guys that are much bigger and weigh a lot more than he does. So I think he's just kind of at a disadvantage there. I don't really think it's so much him as far as just the matchup that he's assigned. But I think he's exceeded my expectations as well. I mean, he kind of had a down year in Portland, but he's kind of returned to his, I think, Miami kind of strengths, and seeing him as a center for the first time has been kind of eye-opening to see what he can do as a short roll passer and, just as a rim threat in general, as a vertical threat.
Yeah. DJJ is interesting because when we signed him, I was like, man, like he's somebody, he's a vertical threat. He stretches the defense vertically. You want to get in the fast break. He's another lob threat. He gets out and gets some fast break buckets there. But I think when I started to grow a little bit more appreciation for DJJ was probably the road trip we had without Vooch, and in the Golden State game, I think we were down a bunch, and I think Billy just was like, let's try some different things. Yeah. And he ended up trying DJJ at the 5, and seeing him with those like short roll reps, him as a screener and being able to roll. Like he's so fascinating to me because I think DJJ is somebody that like you can throw out there and he won't hurt you. He's going to play strong defense. He's going to, I shouldn't say strong defense. He's going to play solid defense. He's a guy that can be your weak side rim protector with his leaping ability, his, long arms. And offensively, like I said, he's really proven. Well, I shouldn't say proven either because it's a low volume thing, but we've seen enough that he may be able to knock down that 3 when he has the opportunity to catch, set his feet. He can knock it down. But like DJJ has been fun, man. He's somebody that, man, he's exceeded my expectations. I don't know what people had the expectations they had for him, but he's exceeded mine because he's been so playable. He's been effective. He's just, a player that you can trust to go in there and do what's expected of him. So, yeah, man, that's what how I feel about DJJ.
I thought, to be honest, that DJ would be, a marginal, like a fringe rotation player. Like I thought he'd be playable. But I didn't know if we'd be able to trust him as much as we have.
Yeah.
And I thought mostly his value was going to come as that expiring contract of almost $10 million to be able to kind of parlay that into something better. But as we saw at the deadline, they didn't do anything with him, so they clearly think he's going to be important. And I think he will be as as kind of like a backup 4/5, and we'll see what happens now with Tristan Thompson and Tyler Cook and Tony Bradley in that rotation once Pat gets back. But he's been really consistent. He's been really good for us, and he adds to the slam dunk contest every night, which is always fun. I mean, just the team is so much fun to watch because of guys like Javonte and Derek Jones. But yeah, I think I didn't have like high expectations. Nothing against Derek. It wasn't against Derek as a player. I just thought in the role, like I didn't know if he was going to have like a very steady role on this team, and he has. He's carved it out, and he's done a great job.
Yeah.
The next thing I want to talk about, I did think would have a role carved out, and it kind of hasn't, and that's Troy Brown Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And he's definitely had a very divisive season. Like I think fans have been pretty frustrated with him at least of late because he's had a lot of trouble shooting. He's kind of been up and down. I thought for sure that Troy Brown was going to be really important to this team. He kind of does a lot of different things. He has skills in a lot of different areas. He's actually an underrated passer and playmaker. I think he's a great defender a great rebounder for his position.
Mm-hmm.
And we'd seen some really nice flashes of him as an on-ball defender last year when he first came over from us. And we know that Billy said, hey, just go out and give me good defense, and you'll find some minutes. And he did. I thought he did a great job at that role. He's been a pretty decent three-point shooter in the corners from his career, not so much above the break or on the wing. But this year's kind of been a mixed bag. I think he's the first guy that I would say hasn't met my expectations. Not because I don't think he's been as bad as people make him out to be. If you look at his career numbers and what he's done this year, they're almost identical to his career numbers as far as his shooting percentages. His assists are a little bit down, but his assist turnover ratio is basically the same. It's always been kind of like a 2-to-1 ratio, which is really good. Like he makes good decisions with the ball. I think where there's been struggles is the inconsistent shooting. I think is the major thing that he hasn't been as reliable as we thought he would be as a shooter. And I think on defense, it's not the skill. Like he definitely has a skill. I just think that there's been mental lapses quite often with him more recently, where he's just not switching the right way or not helping when he should, or just making some mental errors. And those things are definitely fixable. So like I'm not as down on Troy as I think a lot of other people are. But his rookie deal's ending at the end of the season. So I think a lot of people maybe expected more of him. So I don't think he's met my expectations. I thought he would have a more prominent role.
Yeah.
Partly because I didn't think Io would be ready to take on that role. But at this point, I think like I would play Io at small forward over Troy Brown for the rest of the year and in the playoffs. And I think he'd probably agree with me. That doesn't mean I don't think Troy Brown doesn't have a future in the NBA. I think he can be a good rotation player.
Yeah.
But he does need to be more consistent as a shooter. And I think he has to clean up those mental lapses on defense that he has, I think, just a little too often, because his rebounding has really been really, really important to us.
Yeah.
Especially on that second unit when Vooch isn't on the floor. He's been a really impactful rebounder, I think. I think people, and I've been paying attention to it a lot because sometimes that's the only thing he's done well on a night. He's just had a rough stretch recently. Wow, I can't speak. But I think overall, I thought he would have a larger role in this team than he's had. What do you think about Troy? I know you're probably a little bit lower on Troy than I am at this point. I think I might be the only one on Troy Brown Island left in Bulls Twitter. But what do you think? Has he met your expectations this year?
I think we were both on the same wavelength this before the season about how we thought Troy Brown this could be a season where he could carve out a role. But for me, I think TBJ has really not lived up to the expectations that I had for him. And like I said in the article with Jackson, maybe I just had too high of expectations for him. But I just think I believe there was a turnover in a very recent game. I can't remember. He threw a cross court pass when it was a bunch of traffic.
I think it was the Wizards game.
Yeah, it was just
was the Wizards game.
I can't remember what game it was, but it was
I
just an
watched it.
egregious decision, because it's like, what are we thinking? I mean, are we looking at the floor? Are we? I just don't. There's some mental lapses that he has, or I just don't know what he's thinking. I don't know what he's doing. Like, I don't know. But like you said, his rebounding has been really, really good, because for a team that struggles with rebounding when Vooch is off the floor, I mean, that we've needed that. We've needed that from him. But when you get a Alex Caruso back, it just makes you wonder, you know, I just I'm not, I don't want to be harsh to TBJ, because honestly, like you said before, like he's still young. And who knows, maybe this timeline that the Bulls are on is just doesn't match up well with what timeline he should be on, in terms of maybe a more developmental team, where he can get a lot of reps and really hash some things out. But this is a team that has aspirations to, get deep into the playoffs and see what happens. And I just don't think, when the team is fully healthy, that he fits that. He doesn't. I don't think he fits the role. I know he's done the best he can with all these injuries, but it's still been kind of tough, man.
Yeah.
To
I mean,
watch. So
I'm with you. Like I would not give him playoff minutes in the rotation. I don't trust, because of the mental lapses. I think I don't trust him in the playoff rotation. That's really what it is for me right now. But Darius and S Bulls 90-30 both brought up the strength, like his physicality on defense. I think has been lacking at times. Darius
mhm.
has, there's a lot of times that someone takes him right to the hole. Yeah, he does. He does get pushed around a little too much. So I think, this offseason is going to be really critical for him, because we're going to have his restricted free agency rights.
Yeah.
And I don't know what we're going to do with him. We may just, give him a qualifying offer. We may not do anything. We may try and sign him, trade him to another team for something else. Who knows? But I think he has value. Like, he's making $5 million this year. Like, I think he's probably worth. I think he's been probably worth that contract. But we thought he would be better. And the mental lapses, the lack of physicality, I don't know. You can just kind of see it when you watch, when Troy Brown has the ball in his hands, and you watch guys like Vooch and Zach on the floor. They're always like, give me the ball, give me the ball, give me. Like, they don't trust TBJ
Yeah.
to make the right decision with the ball.
Yeah.
Which is sad, because I thought earlier in the year we had some clips of him just making some really, really heady plays.
Yeah.
Especially in transition, and just kind of he was making really good plays. So, maybe he's just having a really rough stretch, and it's kind of, that recency bias is weighing on us a little bit more. But I think overall in the season, I would have to agree with you. Just he's been a little bit underwhelming. And I mean, like, it's nice that we've gone like 8 guys deep now, and he's the first one that's not met our expectations or exceeded them. So I mean, that's a great season to have. But yeah, I think Troy Brown has been kind of the odd man out so far in the rotation, and I think for good reason. I think Io's outplayed him in almost every aspect of the game. So that's where I'm at with him. Let's talk quickly about the rest of the guys in the rotation. So Tony Bradley is the next guy that I wanted to talk about. I don't think I missed anyone else. Yeah, I think Tony Bradley is kind of the next guy in the rotation. What have you thought about Tony? Because I think he's had mixed reception from the Bulls fan base, and I think we may have a slightly different opinion than I think the kind of the average fan on Tony. So tell me what you think about Tony, because I haven't even asked you about this yet. So
Yeah.
we may have a different opinion on him.
So Tony, for me, like, I think when he's in the game, I think when he's put in a position where he doesn't have to be too far up and drop, and he can kind of protect the basket, I think he really does a good job. I think that's where you see his 7'5" wingspan really show. I think he does a really good job of protecting the rim when he doesn't have to do extra, stun up top, and maybe, if he's able to just drop and protect the rim, I think he really does a good job. But offensively is where I've been a little disappointed with him. And obviously he's not someone, you're expecting to get 15 points a game or anything like that. But in terms of when he has those opportunities, early in the season, we've seen DeMar DeRozan, create an opportunity for him. He can't catch the pass. He drops the ball, missing layup, missing some bunnies. He just hasn't been as reliable on the offensive end to me. As a dribble DHO operator, I also think I thought he was a little bit better than what he's shown after watching games of OKC, even some Philly games. I thought he was a better DHO operator than he's shown. But once we get to Tristan, I think I'll touch on more about that. But yeah, man, that's where I'm at with him, with big TBJ.
I know we've got the having two TBJs on the team just hasn't worked for me at all from a naming standpoint. But I think now you got me saying Troy Brown. I think where Tony has really shown is as a rim protector. I think he has actually been as good as advertised at rim protection. EPM's got him in the 97th percentile on the defensive end. I think specifically he's 93rd percentile in blocks. He's 85th percentile in defensive rebounds and 94th percentile on offensive rebounds. I think his offensive rebounding has actually been really good for this team. One of the only guys on the team that's been good at that. I think him and Javonte are basically the only two that are ever getting offensive rebounds. I think the offensive limitations are there. He's been better at catching the ball recently. I think early on in the season he had some struggles there. But I think he's on a minimum contract, and I think as far as I think he's absolutely outplayed his contract. The problem is, I think the problem is partially that the bench has been depleted, and especially the bench shooting has been depleted. And so when he's not able to kind of do things offensively for you, when you're relying on him for offense, that's when those flaws really start to show. If he's just there to clean up stuff and protect the rim, and you got guys, you got DeMar and a couple shooters out there, I think Tony can be fine in those lineups. And I think, if you're looking at the advanced numbers, lineups with him on the court with other shooters and ball handlers, like they're really good. Like he's done a really, really good job. I think, as you mentioned, when you start relying on him to do a lot of offensive things, especially things that Vooch is doing for you, he just doesn't have that same skill set.
Yeah.
So you don't want Tony taking 15-foot jumpers. You don't want him as a short roll passer. You mentioned the DHOs, but like it's just there's not a whole lot there. Yeah. He's been pretty decent as a roll man, but he doesn't have like the kind of vertical pop that a guy like Daniel Gafford had for us, or guys like Javonte and Derek Jones. So he's not really a huge lob threat. So I think really where he's going to shine in a playoffs, if he cracks the rotations in the playoffs, it's going to be as a defensive rim protector, where I think that's been his best skill. I mean, he has been really good at it. I think he's been good, especially for a minimum guy. He's been one of the best in the league for his position. So we're probably too much time spent on Tony, but I think he's been better in areas that are more underseen by the fan base, if that makes sense. But the struggles that he's had have been very visible on offense, and that's unfortunately the skill set he just doesn't really have. So in that same vein, I want to talk about Tyler Cook, because Tyler Cook's had some moments. So I mean, obviously his game against Giannis was really fun to watch, but now he has had, I think, on offense, he's been much more of a rim threat or a lob threat. I think he's been really kind of fun. He just has that pop and that energy and that kind of hustle that pops a little bit more on the screen. So, I mean, Tyler Cook's, he's on like a two-way. Like I don't expect a whole lot from him.
Yeah.
But he's come in, and every time he's come in, I thought he's given us some really productive minutes. So, and especially at a position, where we need a really big forward, like a Patrick Williams sized guy that can keep up with a Giannis or a KD or something. Like I think Tyler's done a really admirable job stepping in and fulfilling that role in spot minutes.
Yeah. For me, it's as simple as this, right? With Tyler is when you get Pat back, right? But let me start by saying this. When I thought about Tyler Cook being in the rotation, I was like, okay, this is fine. Before the season, I remember throwing it out to you and Elias. I'm like, maybe would you guys think about adding Tyler Cook? I think he'd be but I think I thought at the time I was like, okay, Pat's hurt. Yeah, Tyler Cooks I think is a good guy to fill that void in terms of a big body at the 4. And then I think the biggest thing for me with him is what I saw him do against Giannis in that Milwaukee Bucks game. I think that alone should keep him on the roster just in case playoff wise, just in case you got to throw a wrench, throw something different at Giannis. We've seen him be able to kind of frustrate him with his quickness and him being able to kind of frustrate him in terms of keep trying to, stand in front of him and being a pest. That alone to me gives, all right, Tyler, hey, you're good. Don't worry. But you better keep up that same consistency. Okay. No, man, I think Tyler Cook is someone that has really, I think it's exceeded my expectations. Definitely. I should say definitely. Because him as a pick and roll, lob threat, him just defensively being able to rebound, block some shots. He's really explosive, gets off the ground quick. I think Tyler Cook has really exceeded some of all of my expectations.
Which is kind of funny because when you watched him in Summer League, he was giving you nothing. I remember watching him in Summer League, he wasn't just not very good. He just didn't pop. And so when they signed him on the 2-way, I was like, are you sure? That was my first reaction was like, are you sure? But I actually been really impressed by his foot speed on defense. I think was something that I did not expect him to be as good at as he is. And I think it is kind of his overall athleticism and pop and his reaction speed has been really, really good. And on defense, it really showed against Giannis, who's obviously just a phenomenal athlete.
Yeah.
And has incredible length. And Tyler Cook was able to keep up with him for the most part. And I thought that was really impressive. So he is your Nazir Mohammed on the roster just throughout in case of emergency. For that specific matchup, I think Tyler Cook could do a really good job. And he did. I think he did. And we got 3 more games against the Bucks this year. And I wouldn't be surprised if Billy throws him out there for one of those matchups. Last couple of guys here. Matt Thomas is the next guy. So, all right, I gotta pull up Matt Thomas's shooting stats. But I want to talk to you about Matt Thomas. So tell me what you think about what Matt Thomas has done so far this year, because it's been a mixed bag for me.
Where do I start? So Matt Thomas. Matt Thomas is someone that frustrates me a lot when he's in the game, because, and not in a meatballish way, but I mean in terms of, dude, you're a 3-point shooter. Shoot the damn ball when you have your opportunity. Stop catching it and dribbling it into a mid-range. No, I don't want you shooting mid-range jump shots. Take the damn shot. Shoot the shot. He's shooting 40%, but I think it's on 2.6 attempts. He needs to get more shots up. Shoot more when you're open. DeMar is not creating an opportunity for you so you can dribble out of that opportunity. No, shoot the damn ball, man. And then you're not good enough. You're not even okay. Calm down. You're not a net, a neutral on the defensive end, or not just a slightly negative player. No, bro, you're not good enough to not take your open shots and then go play defense. No. You're too much of a negative on the defensive end for you not to take every damn opportunity you have. I wish he had 8 attempts. If he, I would rather him shoot 8. And I just, that's all I gotta say about Matt.
So he's shooting 38.4% from 3 on 2.5 attempts per game. His twos, he's shooting 42% on 1.1 attempts a game. He should be taking 0 twos a game. 0. You go out there, you shoot. If you shoot 38% from 3 on multiple attempts a game, good. Yeah, Salim's right. Matt Thomas has done a good job of pissing Salim off. The problem, so I understand Matt's role. And remember we had Chip Jones on here.
Yep.
A few weeks ago, we talked about this, and I had I had Chip in tears because I started talking about Matt Thomas dribbling the ball, and Chip lost it on air because I just if Matt Thomas is running pick and roll as the ball handler, you're in trouble.
Yes.
It's not because Matt Thomas can't do that. It's because if that is what he's on the floor doing, you have screwed up something.
Yes.
He is there to shoot the ball. Shoot the ball. We have like 17,000 good dribblers on this team. We have an abundance of really good ball handlers on this team. Matt Thomas is the last person that should be dribbling the ball.
Last.
He should either be shooting the ball or passing it back so he can run off a screen for another shot. That's it. Like that's his role. And so what makes me upset about Matt Thomas is not that Matt Thomas shouldn't be on the floor necessarily. I mean, I would prefer him not to be on the floor for like 30 minutes like he's been
Right.
in the last month. But the problem is when he's on the floor, he's getting absolutely cooked on defense. He's trying, but he gets absolutely destroyed on defense completely. Not only is he doesn't have the physical strength or like the athleticism, but he's also making a lot of errors on help defense. Like he's switching when he shouldn't be. He's not switching when he should be. It's a complete disaster on defense. And so if he is not making shots on the offensive end in like these short spurts, he's going to be a complete negative for you on the floor. And so my only complaint about Matt Thomas is what you said. You got to shoot more. Do not dribble. Do not dribble unless it's like a guy's closing out hard on you and you're taking one step and dribbling. Okay, you get one dribble. That's it. That's it. Because he is a good shooter. Like you can tell. Dude's a good shooter.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's not shooting and knocking down shots, he is an absolute disaster on the floor defensively and offense. Is like, what are you doing? So I get it. And it's nothing against Matt Thomas. Like, dude's trying to make his way in the NBA. I respect it. He's obviously done something on this team. It's a first place team in the East, and he's been having major minutes the last month while they've maintained this thing. So like he does have a positive role to play on this offense. I don't think we'll see him in the playoffs at all if everyone's healthy, but he can hold it up out there, but only if he fulfills his role.
Mm-hmm.
Know your role and do it well. He just sometimes he gets he does a little bit too much.
Yeah.
A little too much dip on the chip. Like just keep it steady and we'll be fine, Matt. Just keep it steady.
Yeah.
So anyway, we weren't really talking about Marco because I'll just say for Marco, he's clearly not good enough to warrant minutes even on a team that desperately needs big man minutes.
Mm-hmm.
But he's also doing a pretty good job in the G League. So I don't know. My biggest regret with Marco is that we gave him the 3-year contract and not Ayo.
Mm-hmm.
We gave Ayo the 2-year contract.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. We won't really talk about, I guess the only other guy on the team is Malcolm Hill at this point, and then we'll get to Tristan Thompson. So, but I don't really have much on Malcolm Hill. Like he's been able to knock down some decent shots and he's done decently on defense, but he's a 10-day guy.
Yeah.
That we signed because we needed big bodies. So I mean that's kind of where I am. Like he's been a nice story so far, but I don't really expect him to have any role on the team in the playoffs if the team is healthy. So anything else to add on that or Marco?
Nope. I've wasted enough words on Marco for the last, whatever. I'm done. I don't want to talk about.
He's not the next Lauri Markkanen so far.
Mm-mm. Or for some people, we're saying the next Jokic.
Well, I don't think there's the next Jokic, but okay. So I'm sorry, I'm going to butcher your name, but Hui or Hui Jaehyun. Sorry, I'm so sorry. I probably butchered your name. I apologize. He said Tristan Thompson. So we're going to talk about Tristan Thompson. Has 70 starts in the playoffs in four consecutive playoff appearances. He's exactly what we need in terms of an enforcer and a toughness role. So, Mr. Larro Golden, let's talk about Tristan Thompson. They just signed him today, I believe. They ended up waiving Alfonzo Mckinnie as a result of that. I kind of feel like Alfonzo Mckinnie the same way I feel about Malcolm Hill, which is he played decently for us in spot minutes, but not a whole lot to expect. But Tristan Thompson, I think, does have for me one elite skill that I think he can really bring to this table, and that's his offensive rebounding. So his offensive rebounding this season, in fact, even though he's an older player, he has a 16% offensive rebounding rate, which is 98th percentile in the league. So the man gets rebounds. And if you've watched Chicago basketball at all in the mid 2010s, you know that Tristan Thompson pisses you the heck off every time the Cavs played us. Every time the Cavs played us in the playoffs or regular season games, Tristan Thompson was grabbing every single rebound. So we know what he can do on that end. The question has been, is he washed? to just be real blunt, is he washed, or does he have something that he can offer this team? Right?
Oh my gosh!
Because he was on the Kings. He was on, I think he was on the Hawks for a short amount of time, wasn't he?
He was on Boston after the Cleveland stint, and then
he's
he
been
was
traded
Kings.
around a few times. Yeah, to Kings, and then he went to Indy, and then he just got waived by Indy. So tell me about Tristan Thompson. I know you spent way too much time watching some Tristan Thompson film over the last few days. So tell me what you found on Tristan.
Real sicko type stuff.
Eugene says Tristan won't do a GD thing. I love the energy.
So check it out, right? So last pod we had talked to I think it was just us, and we were talking about buyout candidates and things like that. And admittedly, I said that I don't know how much of a upgrade he would have been over over Tony Bradley.
There you go.
There, golly, over Tony Bradley. And some of the things that I think when you watch film, right? I was always watching games for Harrison Barnes. But when you want to figure out things about a player, you kind of have to just watch that player. You can't really watch multiple guys at the same time. You'll miss things. So I went back. I watched some film on Tristan, and honestly, man, I think he still has some juice. And here's the deal: a lot of people, like the guy Eugene, he's probably gonna be like, "This dude is a homer. Anybody the Bulls sign, he's gonna say they're good." No, here's the thing: is like watching him. He's not the switchable defender he once was. In Cleveland, he was a switchable big, which made him so valuable. But he's still a very solid drop defender. He's not very good laterally, but in terms of defensively, he's still really good at being where he needs to be positionally. He's a very good communicator on the back end. He still does a really good job, like I said, of rotating and getting over to block a shot. The rebounding is huge on both ends. He's not a guy that just when a shot goes up, he's heading up. No, he's going to try to fight for a rebound. And if he doesn't get it, all right, and then he's going to go back. And we're going to talk about the short roll. Like he's not going to be someone that when you look at Vooch, when he's in short roll, he's going to make the right pass, right? He's just so unselfish. He's going to make the right pass. With Tristan, he's funky. Like he loves getting into that left floater, that right push shot floater type deal, and it's actually still really good. Pick and roll is a lot. He's still a lob threat. He can still get up. So, and one of the biggest things for us too, we've talked about it. There's only like one really true screener on this team, and that's Vooch. With Tristan, he still is a really, really good screener. And the value of a screener is getting guys like Zach and DeMar more space away from their point of attack defender and allowing them to be who they are. And he's just he's still smart, and I think some of the guys in here have brought up, like he's got that toughness, that enforcer guy that you're looking for. He's definitely still that guy. So that's what I've seen in the games that I've watched. Passing out of the short roll is not going to be a strength. So teams may blitz more in that situation. He's not very good at passing out to shooters, but I think he's pretty good at passing to cutters. So like a Javonte, and he's really good at passing to cutters. But in terms of, seeing how the rotation is going and making them pay, no, he's not going to be that guy. But I kind of like him being aggressive. When he's aggressive and when he gets that ball in the short roll, he's looking to try to go score. And like I said, he's very funky. If you know Tristan, he's got that funky kind of big man, 6'9", 200 and whatever pound man shooting a floater. You know what I'm saying? And it looks good. But for me, I can get to the Clips unless you had something that you wanted to add as well.
No, I was actually surprised that he's only 30. I feel like he's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's still got some juice. So I think you're right. Yeah,
I think there's.
I'll just call you Jay because I know I'll say Jay. Jay is no way in hell he's washed. 30 years old, just lacks some motivation. Now I will say, being on a contending team, get you a little bit of that Blake Griffin revival. Blake Griffin on the Pistons.
Ooh, excuse me. Yeah.
Versus Blake Griffin on the Nets that same year was a different animal. So, Tristan being in a playoff setting or being with a contending team like the Bulls, I think will be the best situation for him, especially where we need what he can provide as far as rebounding, as far as you mentioned, the screening. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I think he's going to lack some of the offensive skill set that Vooch has. Same thing about that Tony Bradley kind of had. Yeah. So. We can start. Let me pull up the screen here, and we can look at some clips.
3 more things I want to talk about. So one of the biggest things I think outside of Vooch, I think Vooch has really, really good hands. But Tristan has very good hands. If the ball is thrown to him, it's like he's like a vacuum. He's going to catch the ball. The second thing is he's very good at finishing through contact. Like the dude, ain't running from no contact. He's going to try to go up and try to finish through your chin. The third thing is, from watching some Kings games, the Kings kind of ran DHOs for Harrison Barnes to come off and get right into a shot. And he's just so good at he's got a big body. He's so good at just getting his body in the way. Sometimes he doesn't even set kind of set and take a screen. Sometimes he just does a really good job of, kind of opening up and faking like he's on a roll, and just his big body gets in the way enough to create space. So for this first clip,
Darius, by the way, Darius had the same thought that I didn't even see Darius's comment, unfortunately, before I said Blake Griffin, but he had the same Blake Griffin comp. So I'm hoping about it. I'm hoping about that one. Yeah.
So for this one, I'll talk you through it. So I don't think I have. Nope. Okay. So for this one, right, you're going to get not even a fundamental screen, but he just does a good job of just getting his body just in the way, right? Gets and just that enough gets Wigington behind Tyrese and gives him space to attack Serge, right? And he does a good job with the rip through move and getting there. But this is the other part about him, right? He doesn't give up on plays, right? A lot of other bigs would have probably ran the other way, but look, ball goes up. He's fighting for position, right? He's fighting for position. Boom, he gets it, gets an extra possession. Doesn't end well because honestly, Kiefer Sykes, shout out my Chicago brother. He's not like a Zach LaVine or DeMar DeRozan, Alex Caruso, Lonzo, guys that you get extra possessions for. That's huge. If you can get extra possessions, which he just did there, he's going to be very helpful for this team.
Yeah, Jay says it here, right? The Bulls are 29th ranked in rebounds. When Vooch is on the floor, we're top 10, but when he's out, 29th. So backup big who can rebound, give you some extra possessions will definitely help. Eugene's he says if Tristan had milk, he'd be on the Lakers.
This dude.
I love it. But Salim says I think Tristan could be a better Tony Bradley as a roll man and finish around the basket. He can actually catch the ball, unlike Tony. So yeah, vacuum arms is what Tristan has.
Yeah. Another situation as a screener here. It's going to be running a slob here. So got an elevator comes up, and then again, he just does a good job when he's engaged, right? Boom. That's not even, it's just enough, right? It's just enough. And look at all this space that he's given Lance Stevenson, right? Picture that being Zach or DeMar coming down and being able to attack Serge, right? And even Lance gets downhill, gets a foul, and it's just stuff like the little things like that a lot of people really don't notice. Like this screen, we don't have a second screener like Vooch. Like this is a screen Vooch would do well in, but we don't have another guy that can really screen like this. And once again, he's still fighting for the rebound, even though it was a foul. So it's like, I think the little things that Tristan is going to bring, that's huge, you know. And like I said, the screening, that's just really huge for this team. Another big that can come off the bench to screen for this offense. And I think he's going to be good enough to really buy Vooch some more minutes to rest. Just because, again, you know, I think he could do some DHO things as well. Let me remember what this one. Oh, here we go. So this next clip is again, right? It's his funky play, right? So Kiefer drops it off, boom, that floater. Like that's gonna be something we're gonna have to get used to that. He loves getting to that. He loves getting to this little like floater, and he makes it. Sets his feet, bang. You know, that he loves that floater. And winning let me see if I can get to some of these short roll here.
Salim says Tristan ain't trying to go to a playing team.
No, hell no. But oh yeah, okay, so let's talk about this for a second here. Against the Wizards, Ish Smith, who I feel like it's always a Wizard. He's been a Wizard, I feel like, his whole career.
He's back.
Right.
Did he just get traded back to the Wizards? Yeah.
So he swings it to the left side of the floor to Corey Kispert. Kispert drops it off to Anthony Gill. Looks like he's about to set like an away screen here for him, but Ish backdoors. Corey opens back up to the ball, right? Get a screen. Tristan's in a good position here, right? They switch back. Look, I love this. This is what I love about it, though. As soon as Lance gets back, he hustles right back to Anthony Gill. Get a dribble handoff. Ish Smith passes it, but the rotation, just being able to get over there, he's not hiding from any action, right? He's over on the opposite side of the floor, and he just does a good job of rotating over. And the end result is him being in the right spot, getting a block shot. You know, he's head on a swivel, looks over multiple times, gets over here, hand straight up, block, grab it. We're going the other way, and that's the stuff that you need. You need guys to do the right things. Just do the right things. He may not be the most athletic Tristan we've seen in the league, but a lot of basketball is being in the right position so you can make the job easier on yourself. You know.
Yeah. He's got those fundamentals. His rebounding, his positioning is really solid. Jay says again here, it's like that rebounding, that playoff pedigree makes him an upgrade over Bradley and Cook. I think he becomes more reliable in those settings than Tony Bradley or Tyler Cook. I think that's what you really need in the playoffs is even if Tony Bradley maybe he's a better player, maybe Tyler Cook's a better player, but Tristan, you know, if he can be consistent, if he's constantly in the right spots, if he's not making mistakes, sometimes just the absence of mistakes is better than making the right play necessarily or doing some highlight reel. Lack of mistakes. I know, and you're a coach, right? You'd rather a guy not make the mistake. So this is an offensive clip here. Buddy Hield is bringing the ball up on the right side of the floor. He flips it to Tristan. Tristan is running this little DHO action here. Turns into an empty side play. This is what I love about this dude, man. Just from what I've been watching, he's not afraid of no contact. If you ain't ready, he's gonna go right through your chin. It's just that simple. Right, so it turns into a DHO, empty side, power dribble right into his chin, pump fake, finish. Like he's gonna bring that toughness to both sides of the ball. And that, you know, I love that power dribble into the dude's chest. Like, yo, if you ain't ready, I'm gonna know, you know. And just smart, 2 pump fakes, goes up and finishes. He finishes around the basket. He's got great touch around the basket. That's something you see as well when you watch him play. Another offensive clip here. Lance is calling for a ball screen here. Flip screen, drops it off. Power dribble once again. Finishes through contact with the left hand. Like he's able to finish with both hands. That's something I'd like to see as well from your big. This is through traffic here. You know, flip screen, good pass by Lance. I mean, both those guys, Denny's a pretty dang good defender. Thomas Bryant, big guy. For him to finish through that's good stuff, man. We need that, man. We need guys to be able to get some dirty buckets. And I think he can do that. Yeah. Oh, for sure. I mean, he didn't play that many games with the Pacers either. Like these are all recent clips. This is what he's been doing. So It's a guy that's we're getting off the buyout market. So like our expectations for that role
Yep.
shouldn't be really really high, right? Like I
Nope.
think I said on Twitter after the deadline passed, the history of buyout guys being really contributing players is pretty sparse.
Yeah.
Um, but to be honest, our backup 5/4 position is not the rosiest right now.
Mm-mm.
So he can help. He can definitely help this team, especially over the next month and a half of the season that's
I,
left.
I also think the thing to think about as well too when you talk about Tristan, and it's like, yeah, he's 30, but when this team is fully healthy, I mean, what's the most minutes he's probably going to play? Maybe 15,
Yeah,
maybe even less sometimes. So if you're adding him and telling him, hey, dude, we just need a strong 15, maybe some games 20 minutes, depending on if Vooch is in foul trouble, and you're going to have Alex Caruso and Lonzo at your point of attack. So you're not going to be you're not going to be stretched out defensively. We just need you to be right in position. I mean, I think he's going to be more than enough, like more than ready for that, especially being added to a team like we all know has a chance to really, when healthy, shock some critics. So I think that's something you also got to take into account as well, that he's going to be in a defense that, they're not going to ask too much of him. They're not going to ask him to switch. They're going to ask him to just kind of get back and allow Caruso and Lonzo and Io and Javonte to get over the screen. I think he's going to be just fine.
yeah. Luis Villasenor, he says the real thing you got to watch out for is the Chicago ladies. They're going to be careful with Tristan in town.
Oh man, but let me get back to the clips because I know that could get out of hand. But
but he does. Okay, he has a legitimate question. Do you think Tony Bradley still gets minutes with Tristan in the fold now?
I think that there is definitely a chance for TBJ to oh my God, Tony Bradley. I think there's enough. I think there will be a chance for him to still, get in here and there. I think more so if we play a bigger team, I could see him getting some minutes as well. But I mean, Tristan 6'9", he's kind of girthy. So I mean, he's a guy that you can still play against bigger bigs. So
I love you said girthy. I love that. He's a little girthy, I'm feeling a little girthy after the pandemic. I'm just saying, trying to get rid of it, but get a little bit girthy.
Oh man, dude, let me get back to this clip. All right, so
sorry,
another offensive clip here. So you got Tyrese Halliburton coming up here. He sets a screen and positions himself again, big body. Just a great pass. He can still get up and finish. So that's another thing to think about as well with just, Io getting downhill, Zach getting downhill. If that helped, like Kentavious Caldwell-Pope. Like, think about this for a second, right? As we're watching this, let's just take a look right here. Let me freeze it now, right? Zach, Tristan, let's say Lonzo, let's say, I don't know, we could put DeMar, and then Javonte or whoever you want to think about over on that side. Kentavious Caldwell-Pope could literally, to me, I'd be pissed off at him because I would rather see Lance Stevenson shoot that damn three than giving up a lob. So I'd rather him just take away the lob and then react to the pass. But let's say whoever that is in the corner, he's going to be in a basically what I'm trying to say is I think there's going to be a lot of opportunity for Tristan, because with the type of shooting when this team is fully healthy, I think you're going to put this weak side defender in hell. So I think there's a lot of opportunity for this type of play. So this is a reason why I pulled this clip.
I was gonna, the lob threat. That's really helpful. I'm interested to see if Tristan does get minutes. Like if he is the backup 5, in Billy's rotation, when Pat is back and Lonzo and Caruso are back. So is your starting lineup? And I think someone asked this earlier. Maybe it was Salim. I can't remember, but talking about when Pat is back, do you want to keep Javonte in the starting lineup and have Pat come off the bench because of that kind of that balance you can get? But think of a bench of Alex Caruso, Kobe White, Dosunmu, and then Patrick Williams and Tristan Thompson. Like
Yeah.
that's like as those are your backup 5 players. I mean, that's not even Derek Jones isn't even in the rotation. Turbine Jr. is not in the rotation. Like those guys are 11th and 12th guys. Like that's a pretty solid rotation.
Yes.
Or if you have Javonte out there, if you have Pat in the starting lineup, you have Javonte out there. I just think they've got a lot of good players. They got a lot of guys. So I'm interested to see what Billy does. Because is he going to play 8 guys in the playoffs or 9 guys in the playoffs? Because I don't know which guard you're sitting. Are you going to sit Io? Are you going to sit Kobe? I don't know if you can do that. So I'm really fascinated to see what he's going to do with his rotations once we have everyone healthy.
So this is now we're getting into the I think I have 2 clips of short roll.
Okay.
This is a situation, short roll for TT for Tristan. And so end of the quarter, get a screen, they blitz it. And this is to me where he struggles. All right. When a team rotates over and he can't get to the basket to finish, like right now, Kris is not low enough, right? That should be a skip right over to Terry Taylor. But instead he gets all the way down to the rim. And I like him being aggressive, but I'd rather him swing that ball over to Terry Taylor. So
I mean, that pass is there. Like that pass is immediate. Boom.
Yeah. So that's something, like I said, from watching in some of these situations and in games, is that he does struggle with the passing to shooters. But if Terry was to cut there, I just from what I've seen, I feel like he would pass that to the cutter. So that's something that I think that we're gonna have to keep an eye on to see how those short roll reps work out in Chicago. Let's see. I think I had one more. Oh, wait, I think here it is. No, that's not it. Hold on. Let's see. I thought I had one more. Don't tell me that's the one.
File corrupted.
Let's see.
It's gone. Here, I'm gonna remove that for now. But
gun. Let's see.
You got one more clip?
I think I do. Let me double check. Let me see. Make sure I got all of. I thought I had one more. No, I guess I didn't.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Louis said a comment. Maybe Pat would take more of an offensive role off the bench. And here's the thing. I mean, it's not going to be hockey lineups, right? Like they're not going to just stay all 5 off the court. Bench guys on the court. So they're going to mix and match. So you're going to see Pat with the stars. You're going to see Caruso with the stars. You're going to see DeMar with the bench. You're going to see a whole bunch of different stuff. But it's just how many guys are you going to play? Because Vooch can't be out there for 48 minutes. So I think Tristan Thompson has a good chance to get, if Vooch is playing 36 minutes, can Tristan get the other 12? I think he's got, he could definitely give you 12 minutes out there in a playoff rotation. Or, if it's 40 and 8 or something like that. I think Pat's going to soak up a lot of minutes when he gets back, assuming that he's kind of gets back up to speed. And I think he can play small ball 5 too. I think we saw Pat early in the season do a little bit of small ball 5, and I thought he did really well with that. So
yeah,
we'll see. I mean, I would love like the idea of DeMar, like a bench lineup of DeMar running the 4, but he's the one with the ball in his hand. Kobe and Io and Pat and like Caruso, like that's a nasty little bench unit right there.
Yeah,
that's really fun. I like that one a lot, actually.
Yeah. The more I watch Tristan, the more I like what he can bring when he gets here and acclimated to what they're gonna do. There are some things that I didn't bring on in terms of like the DHO stuff that the Kings were doing with him. I just think he's gonna benefit from being on a better roster. I just think from what he is good at is what this team needs: rebounding, toughness, screening. I just think another DHO operator outside of Vooch as a big. I just think that the things that he is good at, and not asking him to do things outside of the ordinary. I think he's going to come in and be able to, whatever minutes he gets, I think they'll be productive minutes.
Yeah, I agree with you. Louis says it. This team is so good. I mean, they really are. Like, this is my favorite team in my entire Bulls fandom. And it's been, I mean, in a lot of ways, it's been the season from hell as far as like missing time has been concerned and injuries. But this team projects to be, knock on wood, projects to be healthy by like early to mid March. I mean, we're almost there. Yeah. And if this team is healthy and gelling as we walk into the playoffs, and if we're at a top 4 seed, man, it's going to be a tough team to beat. And I know Billy and DeMar specifically don't have like the greatest playoff reputations as coach and player respectively, but players can grow, players can improve. I thought DeMar had a much better playoff series in San Antonio than he did in some of the ones he had in Toronto. And Billy has just been, I think he's just been a revelation on both ends of the court with the players. I think he's just been really, really good. And, our struggles so far this year with guys like Troy Brown Jr., Matt Thomas, sometimes with Tony Bradley, those guys may not even be in the rotation in the playoffs. And the guys that we're trusting to be in the rotation, we just went through like an hour and a half of positive reviews on how they've all exceeded our expectations. Like every one of those guys that's going to be in the rotation for sure. Yeah. Has been phenomenal this year. They've just been really, really good at their role. So it's going to be a really tough team to beat. There's also really tough teams in the East. I mean, Philly just got Harden. Ben Simmons is coming back to Brooklyn. Kyrie might play. There might be, if they lift that mandate, the vaccine thing in New York, he might be able to play in the playoffs.
That's the
and then
team
you got
I'm
the
worried
Bucks.
about.
Philly?
No.
Oh, the Nets?
The Nets, man. I'm worried about that
team. The team I worry about the most is the Miami Heat, actually. I just think that I just think that Kyle, Jimmy, and Bam can match up with Zach, DeMar, and Vooch really, really well defensively. And the guys they've picked up off the scrap heap, like Max Strus and Gabe Vincent and like Yurtseven and Duncan Robinson's coming back around. Tyler Hero's he's like a 6-man of the year candidate right now. Like they've got shooters. They've got a lot of good players. And, they've had a lot of injury struggles this year. And they're right with us. So the Heat, I think, Philly, I worry about because Joel Embiid is just, he's never lost against the Bulls. And so I'm going with that track record. I'm like, we're going to get swept.
Yeah.
But, the Bulls' record against a lot of those upper echelon teams in the East has not been super good this year. Obviously, there's a lot of caveats because of our injuries. But like the Philly games, like we were more healthy than Philly 2 out of those 3 losses.
Yeah.
And we still lost. And the Heat, same thing with the Heat. Like we were injured one time and we got blown out, but they were also injured. So anyways, like I just think those 2 teams, Philly and the Heat, I think I'm most worried about. The Bucks, if they get Brook Lopez healthy, I can worry about the Bucks. If not, I think they're going to have a hard time defensively without Brook.
I think for me, I think it's going to sound crazy, but I think one of the biggest reasons. How can I word this without sounding like a? Okay, so the Andre Drummond loss. The Andre Drummond loss to me is huge because I think when it comes to Philly, you have to win the Embiid-less minutes. When Embiid steps off the floor, that's when you have to either get back in the game or take a lead, in a sizable lead. Because, I mean, we know, at least with us, we know what Embiid does to us. But what Drummond brought was somebody that rebounded the heck out of the ball, a good screener. He's a lob threat. So like he brought something different off the bench and some steadiness at the rebounder position. Their backup big position, I don't know what they're gonna do.
It's Paul Millsap right now.
Yeah,
and basketball Paul.
I'm not really afraid of those 2. But
yeah, no, I'm not either. And they lost Seth Curry, by the way. Seth is really, really good. Yeah. He's gonna kill it for Brooklyn.
Again, another dude that I'm just not. I hope we don't have to see them. Miami, I definitely understand what you're saying, but like this team, even when they're off the floor, like this team will still be able to bring out like a roster that could hurt them. But like I guess what I'm trying to say is like the Bulls to me are very interesting because you got Caruso who has playoff experience. Like DeMar, I know people are giving him crap because he hasn't, his numbers or whatever don't say he plays well, but this dude has never been on a roster that's been put together this well. When you put him next to a guy like Zach LaVine, who, once again, everybody's saying, oh, well, Zach hasn't been to the playoffs. Well, Devin Booker was never to the playoffs either, and Devin Booker goes, and it's almost like, he's been there all his career, that way he played.
Yeah.
So you just never know. But for me, like I'd rather count on the guys we have than like a Gabe Vincent, a Yurtseven, who am I thinking of? Tyler Hero. A lot of these, like Max Strus, definitely. Like guys that haven't done it. Like I'd rather count on the guys that we do have. Vooch, he's been really damn good. If you go back into his numbers in his last appearance in the playoffs against the Bucks, I just think Tristan Thompson is going to bring some very good like playoff experience, some toughness. So I think this team is. I understand, like you said about the Heat, like those three guys and Lowry, Bam, and Jimmy are definitely something to worry about. But it's just something about Philly because I think when you add a guy like Ben Simmons, and he's going to get clowned on because of his offensive ability in terms of shooting, but like the playmaking with the type of shooters that he's going to have around him, the what he's going to be asked to do on like. He's not going to be like everybody was mad at Ben because he was basically like the second guy there, so they wanted him to be able to score 20 plus points a game. And like he's not going to be needed to do that now. They're going to be like, bruh, transition, right? Half court defense, brother, create havoc. Like just take the best offensive player and guard him, right? You got, and so injecting that, and then you inject Seth Curry, another shooter. They're going to have Joe Harris come back. Like
I don't think Joe Harris come back this year, but if he did, I'm more worried about. What does Joe Harris have? Yeah, I think he's getting a second ankle surgery.
Oh, I didn't see that. Okay, well, still. I mean,
next year is when I worry about the Nets. I think this year. Well, the problem is, man, if we get them in like the first round as the play-in team, I'm going to be pissed. But, anyways,
I think it's
Jay
tough.
had a good comment here. Oh, sorry,
go ahead.
Well, he just said that what we've been thinking is like for the first time as a Bulls fan, I could say that the roster makes sense from top to bottom, and we're so stacked. Like I agree, like the roster works so well, and it's a bunch of players that don't necessarily fit on every type of team. Like you got guys like DeMar, for example, and Lonzo Ball and Caruso. I think kind of need a certain group of guys to really maximize their skill sets. And this team really does it. I just think everyone's skill sets are maximized. And I think part of that is the roster construction, which is done by AK and Mark Eversley. But I think Billy is also the perfect coach to put those guys in positions to maximize their talents and minimize their weaknesses. So, anyways, I love Luis's DeFrozen is going to turn into DeChosen in the playoffs. Hey, man, if he continues to shoot like 35 points a game on 60-something% shooting, no one's going to stop him. I mean, the dude is looking like Kobe Bryant, Michael Jordan hybrid this year. Like it's crazy what DeRozan's been doing. So much fun.
Yeah, no, I agree. Like, but I just kind of wanted to touch on what you said about the Nets, and
yeah, please.
I just when you have Kevin Durant on your team, like I'm going to give him a chance.
It's like touchdown Tom. It's like, if there's time on the clock.
I mean, Kevin Durant, I think that, I know this is not a Nets pod, but like Kevin Durant,
he's coming to the Bulls.
He's so, I don't know. Okay, this may sound crazy, but like what he's asked to do on that Nets team, I really appreciate Kevin Durant. Not his scoring, but like the passing ability, the weak side rim protection they're asking him to do. Just everything they're asking him to do is just, I respect him for it because like he means so much to that team, man. Like, And now that he gets another guy that can help play make, and then Kyrie Irving, who knows what that whole vaccination thing will how in New York how it'll work out. But I'm not. Look, I hope we don't have to see them, and I hope we don't have to see the Heat. But dog, man, it's something about them Nets for me.
What I hope is we get the first seed and we play. It's going to be like one of Toronto, Atlanta, maybe the Celtics, or maybe the Nets. Like, that's terrible. Like, those 4 teams are good. What on earth, man? You're going to get the first seed in the East. Like, think about that. You get the first seed in the East, and you're playing the Nets or the Hawks in the first round as the play-in team.
I ain't worried about no Hawks.
I know you're not worried about
no Hawks.
I'm worried. I'm a little worried about the Hawks because, hey, I mean, if you don't remember, they went to the Eastern Conference Finals last year.
Has Trey met correctional officer Alex Caruso?
No, man. You know they signed Chris Dunn just to keep him away from Trey because Chris Dunn just absolutely toyed with Trey every time he played him. I love, man. If you want to just reminisce on great Chris Dunn film, just watch him guard up Trae Young. Oh my gosh, he pissed him off so much. But anyways, I think for me, like if I had to pick between the Raptors, the Celtics, the Nets, and the Hawks in the play-in, like if we got seed number 1 or number 2, and we played one of those 4, I'd pick the Raptors, right? I mean, just because they don't have an answer for Vooch. They're a really good team, and Nick Nurse is a really freaking good coach, and they've got a bunch of 6'8" guys that can do stuff, and Fred VanVleet's really good. Like, there's no good matchup, but like if it were the Raptors in the first round, and then let's say the Cavs were the 4 seed, and we played them in the second round, like I'd be like, okay, I think we got a chance to go to these conference finals.
Mm-hmm.
But if we play like the Nets and then the Heat, or like the Bucks and Philly or something, like it's just going to be a bloodbath, man. It's just going to be a bloodbath. So that's why I think the first seed is so important, because you can avoid like 2 or 3 of those teams. Like, I want to avoid Philly, I want to avoid Miami, I want to avoid the Nets. I want to I think Philly and the Heat are my top 2. Like, avoid at all costs in the first 2 rounds of the playoffs. Like, you got to play in the Eastern Conference Finals, so be it. But let them beat up on each other first.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
That's what I want.
I think when we talk about DeMar DeRozan in the playoffs, like, I think the dude is tired of Raptors fans saying that he doesn't do anything in the playoffs. You know,
oh my gosh, that's why it would be fun to have a Raptors as the first round.
I think he's gonna be so damn motivated to play the best he's ever played in the playoffs, and I think another guy, Zach, is hungry. Like, Zach is really ready to show the world that he can be.
I hope so.
Guy. So
I hope so, because we're gonna need that guy. We're gonna need Zach LaVine to be prime Zach LaVine in the playoffs.
I'm so excited for playoff Zach LaVine. I don't know. Like, I love DeMar, but I'm so excited for playoff Zach LaVine.
If Zach LaVine drops 40 in the playoffs, I'm gonna be so toxic.
Man,
I'm gonna be a problem on Twitter if Zach LaVine drops 40, and I'm not. You know, like I'm usually pretty reasonable.
Yeah,
I'll have some things to say, Stephen A. style. I am disgusted.
I can't wait. I hope everything works out with the knee and everything. But if that brother, I just feel like this team has so much bulletin board material that it's crazy. It's crazy.
There's a lot of guys that are really hungry to prove. I mean, our top 3 guys, like Zach, DeMar, and Vooch, have a lot, and Billy have a lot of doubters.
Yeah,
they got a lot of people.
that
don't think they can do anything. I think they're washed. I think they're overrated. So it'll be really, really fun. So yeah, that's all I got, man. We managed 2.5 hours. Call us a dunker spot because we go long,
dude,
as long as we need.
Like,
Yeah, this was fun. This
Yeah,
was
it
so
was
fun to
fun.
talk. Hey, we had a lot of people show up tonight. Appreciate you guys. Thank
Yeah.
you. We got like Jay, first time I've seen you. Richard Long, thanks for coming out, man. I appreciate you guys. S Bulls 9030. I know Luis, we seen Luis a bunch. Eugene Niceness with the
Mhm.
niceness. We appreciate you. Appreciate you guys all coming out. Darius Wiggins. There are a lot of you guys. Questy Oliver, if I'm saying that right. Appreciate you guys all coming out. If we missed someone. And then our OGs, Salim, Luis.
Yes, sir.
We got those guys coming out. So appreciate you guys. If you enjoy the show, remember to rate the Barroom Network. That's the network that we are on. Make sure to rate and review us. Tell us, tell your friends if you guys. So we do video here, so we're able to do film breakdowns, which is I think unique in the Bulls podcasting world. But if you love Bulls podcasts, we also have Salim and Edward Sudarwala. Or I'm sorry, Salim Sudarwala and Edward Schuler. They also have Bulls Gold that they do a podcast. They always have great guests, great analysis. So definitely check them out on the Barroom Network as well. And I hope you guys like the show. We want all the smoke, Luis. We want all the smoke in the playoffs.
Yes,
I know
sir.
Larro's really hoping for that Hawks
I
matchup.
low key am.
He wants it. He wants it so bad.
I am digging. I maybe they can get above 500 and come holler at us, so maybe we'll see. But
hey, look at Jay. Jay's trying to send us money out here. We appreciate you. Yeah, hit me up on the DMs. I'm just kidding, but we appreciate you, man. Thank you. Salim just had Jackson Franklin last episode. It was really, really good. I listened to it. Really, really good. Talking about a lot of cool stuff. So, Larro,
that's that dude.
Anything else you want to say before we send the people off on a Saturday evening, Sunday morning / it's way too late.
It's late, and
Hoops after dark.
I don't want to be toxic, but at the same time, guys, gals who may listen, I really appreciate you guys listening. And look, hey Hawks, I want that smoke. I want all smoke, Hawk fans. I really do. I'm all that talk about a very lucky run. I want to see it. I want to see the same thing. You got to prove it. But other than that, guys, I appreciate you guys. This was a lot of fun tonight. I hope a lot of you come back. This was a lot of fun.
Oh, by the way, next week we won't be doing our show as usual because we're going to be at Podcast Palooza. So if you guys want to go to the Windy City Bulls game next Sunday, it's going to be February 27th. If you want to check out the Windy City Bulls game, Larro and I, along with a lot of other Bulls podcasters that you may know, like Matt and Dave from Locked On Bulls, Ricky and Jason from Cash Considerations. We got Fred Pfeiffer from the
Big Red
Bus. There's a bunch of them. Sorry, I'm gonna forget. Matt Gentile.
Yep,
is gonna be out there. We got the from with Rebuildable. I'm not forgetting about my guys, Goose and I'm losing it, man. It's too late at night. Buzz and Goose from Bulls on Tap. So we got a lot of really cool guys. We're gonna have a halftime show where we're gonna be doing a live podcast talking about the Bulls. So if you guys want, Salim's gonna be there, of course, man. Sorry, Salim, man. I forgot you guys are gonna be there. So I will be there in person. I will be in Chicago next weekend with my guy Larro for only the second time in my life. But I'm really excited. So if you guys want to check it out, see you guys there. It's like $20 for a ticket or something. And there's a deal. So check out C Red Fred at CBE Fred. He's got details if you guys want some deals to check that out. So that's where we'll be. We'll do a live show next week at Podcast Palooza. And then the week after that's going to be our 1 year anniversary on Bulls 101. 1 year, March 6th. Man. I think is going to be that date. So
that's crazy.
Yeah, it'll be March 5th, but it'll be basically our 1 year anniversary. So what a year! What a crazy year it's been. It's been a lot of fun. So
unreal.
It's been awesome. But we'll let you guys go. Thanks for listening to Bulls 101, watching. Appreciate you guys' support. and we'll see you next time. Peace.
Peace.